56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome in to Sports Time on a Monday. Bryant and Brett with you for the next 3 hours as we start another week after a fantastic week in both college football and the NFL. We've got NBA preseason underway. Today was AAC Media Days for the upcoming basketball season, so a ton going on this week, a lot to get to over the next 3 hours. But like I said, Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. I'm Brett, Bryant with me, I'm Bryant, Brett with me. Brett,
That's right.
How you doing this afternoon?
It's
been a long day, Brett.
I know it has. We need to talk more. We're going to until 6 o'clock, Bryant. Great to see you and Johnny, and really a fun Monday. And it is that time of year. You mentioned Grizzlies yesterday. They start 2 weeks from Wednesday, 4 weeks from tonight's Tigers opening night. Basketball season's here, and we'll talk a lot of AAC Media Days. And this morning I said with Zach Boyd, as I said in for Dave, out of the Grizzlies preseason game yesterday, I'll just being candid, I've never been to a preseason game. I'm not going to say I'm never going, but I doubt I will, because I get to go enough, and I'm very pleased and blessed to do that. And I can understand plenty of people that may not get to go as often as I do, that they like to go to those games. I understand that. So I'm not trying to be a snoot about it. I just got other things going during the preseason time, and I hardly ever watch, even my friends doing the games. But I'm interested this year, and yesterday, or last night rather, the return of Big Steve Adams.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I thought he looked really good. I was
had to have that.
Had to, and I was curious how much he would play, and he played a lot, and so I was very happy to see him out there.
All right, now give me the full breakdown of David Roddy's minutes.
Oh, I liked David Roddy a lot last night. I thought he was good. Brett, you don't want me to start breaking down, because I get, especially preseason games in any sport, I will start getting overreactions all over the place. This guy's going to have a stellar season. This guy's going to have a stellar season. So you don't want me to break down individual players.
And I'm not that much into preseason baseball. I would love to go someday,
sure, yeah.
but I haven't. And same for preseason NFL, and I went to way too many preseason football games in my life, so I doubt I'll ever do that again. But this preseason, it does matter. I said this morning this as well. A lot of times in the preseason, my old saw had been, anybody get hurt? No, good. Yeah. How many days till opening night? But that's not the case with this Grizzlies team. There's some merging and meshing and integration that some newer parts and some older parts that have to get reestablished, like Steven Adams. Yeah. So this Grizzlies preseason is definitely worth keeping a watchful eye on. And who knew? Overtime free basketball last night for preseason. I
loved it. It was great. And I'll be honest.
You get on me because I like tied football. I like tied football games, and I still like them in the NFL when they go through tie. But you liked overtime preseason?
I loved it. I loved every second of it. Now, part of it was so we've got some people out of town this week working up here at the station, and so I had to pinch hit last night and come up here and produce that, just wretched football game. And so I think part of it was I could keep my mind off of the pitiful performance that was going on the radio, and on the screen in front of me, I could just watch the Grizzlies all night. And so I loved a little overtime basketball to keep my mind off of things. It was great.
You're Cowboys, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about, Brett. Brett,
Cowboys.
I don't know these Cowboys you speak of. So
it's your Cowboys, and that folder that you keep the parade route in.
Yeah, I actually thought about shredding it last night. Where is it? I lost it already. I don't know where it went. I don't think it ever was a thing. I don't think it actually ever happened. If I can't find it, I don't think anybody would be able to find it.
It's my favorite Dr. Pepper Fansville ad when the weird guy has all of this stuff piled up like the bonfire and throws the match to it. And those ads really do capture us.
They do.
Me. All of us perfectly. And the best one is when the guy's telling the girl, scram, and one of them invokes, but our academics are better than yours.
That's right. It's great.
And you know that's the last vestige of somebody that doesn't have anything else to stand on in college sports.
It sure is.
But our academics are so much better than yours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, those Dr. Pepper commercials, they've been great for a couple years now. They just get better. I always watch them and go,
weird.
You can't top this type of ad. This one specifically, you can't top it. And then they top it. And now, with everything happening in college football, conference realignment, expanded playoffs, I mean, there is so much material for those fine people that make the Dr. Pepper ads. It's great.
Who steals the show in the Dr. Pepper ads?
The cop. I love the cop.
It's Bosworth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Boz, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you're right, but the mom, the female, she's great.
She's good. Honestly, Brett, they're all great. I mean, the Dr. Pepper commercials are by far my favorite commercials on television.
For such a horrible product, as I've said forever about Dr. Pepper, it's cold cough syrup.
My brother loves Dr. Pepper. He only.
My brother loves it too.
Really.
I keep Dr. Pepper at my house, so if he comes by,
that's great.
And they're old because I hardly will drink one because you see what I have.
Yeah, I know what you drink.
I let the real thing carry me,
and I don't drink caffeinated soda, so I don't drink any of it, I guess. So
it is Tulane week. Are you excited?
Sure is. I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Friday night, but I would
excited. Prefer differently.
Yeah, I prefer it on Saturdays.
But I know why they do it, and I understand it, and I can't on one day say, come on SEC, come on college football, be more competitive on Thursday night. And then say, oh no, but don't touch Friday. And I love high school football. That's really what we all go back to. I mean, it might be some out there that the very first game wasn't a high school football experience. Right. I mean, I'm sure in a bigger city that probably would be the case. You jumped right into deep water going to NFL or going, to college football. But most of us kind of, got our start, got our training wheels going to high school football, and I do love it. I haven't been to a game this year, and I don't want it damaged. I don't want it marred. But I know Friday, especially with conference realignment and these TV partners needing inventory, needing platform, needing place, it's really being pushed.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think Friday is gonna become a big day. I think this weekend we've got 3 FBS games on Friday. Last week we had 2 FBS games on a Friday and then an FCS game. So I think Fridays are going to become more popular, especially with the American. I think this deal they have with ESPN, we've seen a lot of midweek Thursday and Friday night games in the American. So I would not be surprised going forward if there's a lot more Thursday night, Friday night. This will be the second time this year Memphis has played on a Thursday or Friday night. So I think you're absolutely right.
Am I allowed a second high hard one in the first 8 minutes of a Monday show?
Please, why not? Why not?
I found it interesting, and I want to ask you if you think it is accurate.
Okay.
Commissioner of the AAC, Mike Oresco, today, in his formal statement to the assembled media, said he thinks in the 10 years of the AAC, it has been underrated. And I want this at 901-360-8255, if you would, please. But I ask you first, Bryant. Do you think AAC has been under or overrated or rated about correctly in the years of its existence?
That's tough. If I had to pick one of overrated or underrated, I would probably say underrated.
I would too.
But I would say it's about. I think it's correctly rated. I mean, I think there's a lot of people, both football and basketball, that have respect for the American that are outside of it. And also, I think a lot of times in the past couple of years, you've seen the national media not say straight up, but basically point to whoever wins the American is going to be the group of 5 representative. And so I think part of that is I think it's very well rated and very well regarded. But if I had to pick one over or under, I would say under.
I agree with your answer. If it was that guy working on your door frame, he broke out the level, it would slightly not be, and then get the hammer out and get it just right. Sure. I think it's been close, but if anything, a little under.
Yeah. And that's a good question. I want the listeners' response to that, too, 901-360-8255, because I think that is very interesting. But like you said, we did have media days this morning.
Did you watch any?
I watched a little bit. I didn't catch a ton of it,
too.
but I did see that they had both Dusty May and Penny Hardaway at the table together and asked them questions about each other's team while they were talking.
Well, they're the league.
They are. I mean, they're the top two, and I think there's probably a little bit of space between third place. So,
who do you think is third? I know Tulane was voted 3. I'm going to say Andy Kennedy and UAB, both historically and even this year's team.
Yeah,
but I do like what Ron Hunter's done at Tulane.
I do like Ron Hunter a lot. I would probably say UAB, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad Tulane's third. I mean, it would be either UAB or Tulane, I think.
I can live with 15-3 in the league.
Yeah,
I can even live with 14-4. Mm-hmm. But if it's 14-4, I think that's 2 losses to FAU.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, we talked about how.
And then.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Then naturally FAU would be seeded higher in the tournament.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
With the season sweep.
I would think
kind of the whole Houston drill from last year.
Yeah, I would think so. But, I mean, we've talked about kind of how this schedule, especially the conference schedule, is set up for the Tigers. And I think a lot of very winnable games in conference play, but, I mean, you start getting there kind of late in the season. I think you got a trip to UAB. It's going to be the biggest show in town that night. I think you go to East Carolina, biggest show in town. You go to Florida Atlantic, biggest show in town. I mean, they're going to be going to a lot of places that are going to have jam-packed gyms that are going to be, even though they're small, I've heard a lot of people point out the size of these arenas and gyms they're going to be going to. They're going to be loud, and they're going to be pretty hostile against the Tigers. So, I think you're right.
It's the Beatles and the Stones showing up at Texas San Antonio.
Absolutely. And so, especially with how highly regarded the Tigers are. Rice. We can't get rid of Rice.
I'm in the league with Rice again, Bryant. What did I do?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they dropped 1 or 2 kind of late in the season they should have won that game, just because it's on the road in an environment like that.
Did you see how Rice lost Saturday?
I did not, actually, no.
Go through that box score. I don't know how they lost. Well, I do too. The two turnovers. Outrushed, outpassed, less penalties, better on third down. Everything. Every marker, if you just look at a box score and go, hey, that team right there won.
American
except for the
Athletic
final
Conference.
score.
Let's see. I don't even know.
Turnovers were big.
Let's see. Who did Rice even play? UConn. Oh, what a game. How did I miss that?
Jimmy Moore.
Let's see.
Wait a second. I think you had that game picked somewhere, didn't you?
You know what?
I think Friday on Dave's Pick 6 you did.
Maybe. I couldn't tell you. They threw for 362 yards while UConn only passed for 215. They held UConn to 104 rushing yards. They ran for 112. Wow, you're right. I mean, they should have won this game. Turnovers were big. Let's see.
That's it.
I can find the turnovers next to each other.
Two, yeah. 2-0 on it.
4-0. Rice turned the ball over 4 times. So that
explains it.
That's massive.
That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Fumbled it 5 times and lost 3 of the fumbles and then threw an interception. So I mean that's the game. The turnover battle is the game.
Zany Rice.
Oh man, those Rice guys. What time was this game at? I think I was locked into the USF and UAB game when this game was going on.
All right, did you stay up for the end of USC Arizona?
I did. I regretted it Sunday morning.
I did too.
But
I regretted it Monday morning.
Yes, but no, that was. I mean, look, USC defense needs some work. That was Arizona's backup quarterback in that
That's
game,
right.
and I mean,
I like Jed Fish.
Yeah, I do too. And they were moving the ball well. I didn't like that call, the last call when they were in the third overtime, where they were just going for 2-point conversions, just a little, flip, pitch.
Well, I can't stand
run.
I can't stand how we do college football.
Yeah, I don't.
What is the best way to do overtime? I didn't like old way. I don't like this way. I don't like going to the 25. I wish we would go to the 50.
Yeah.
And play football and incorporate. I mean, your punt in college football in overtime. The punter needs to head to the locker room and get the first hot water.
I mean, he's done. Yeah, he's not doing anything. I mean, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind if they just played football, kind of like how the NFL does it in overtime. But I thought that I didn't have a problem with the old kind of overtime way, and then we had that what was it, LSU? I forgot who else. LSU, Texas A&M, I think, that went to like 10 overtimes or whatever. And
that killed it.
Exactly, that's killed it. I mean, that's one time that's happened. That same thing happens like every 10 years, and then, so we had to change it. I don't like the new where you're alternating. It's almost like a shootout at this point in like hockey where you're just alternating 2-point conversions. So I'm not a fan of it, but yeah, no, that was a great game. Caleb Williams, honestly, kind of won that game single-handedly for USC.
Sure,
I mean, he was doing everything, throwing the ball, running the ball, and a little bit of everything. Also, Taj Washington getting a lot of airtime in that game on Saturday.
Taj Washington sure is. USC without Caleb Williams, LSU without Jaden Daniels, they would be a shell of themselves. But that's how important that position is, and that's a lot of teams.
It's a lot of teams.
I mean, take Dart off Ole Miss. I think Spencer Sanders would be okay.
Sure.
Take Seth Hennigan off the Tigers. Take KJ Jefferson away from the Razorbacks, and they have very little on offense that you have to game plan around.
Yeah, I mean that's not even just the SEC. I mean that's all over the country. Take
Dylan
Michael
Gabriel.
Penix, take Dylan Gabriel. I mean there's a ton of quarterbacks. We've been talking about kind of the year of the quarterbacks in college football, and so I think there's a lot of teams you can say that about. But it was a great weekend in both college football and the NFL. We're going to get to a lot of that today and tomorrow. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we're going to talk some basketball. The AAC basketball media days were today. We're going to look at those polls and talk about some of the things that we saw from media days. Also, we got to get into the Grizzlies' first preseason game last night against the Pacers. At 3:45, we'll talk some college football. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us to talk some college football, and we'll get in a couple of college basketball questions, as really, with media days now underway for most every conference this week, basketball is literally right around the corner. 4:30, we'll get to our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal, the Tigers football beat writer, will join us to talk about the upcoming game against Tulane. Memphis coming off an off week. Same thing for Tulane. They're also coming off an off week, so a big game Friday night at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll talk all about that at 5 o'clock with Jonah Dillon. 5:30, we'll get to our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football preview and pick. We've also got to get to our top 4 quarterbacks for the Packers and the Raiders. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show just like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're sitting in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale, it's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, and up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas, and the 24-month same as cash is still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Johnny Hill is with us, Bryant Dacus is with us, and I'm Brett Norsworthy. We are Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. And we want your input at 901-360-8255 about everything, but also to Tiger fans, that question I asked about overrated, about right, or underrated for the AAC and its existence. Mike Oresco said today he thought underrated. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. The 24s are rolling in. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of one of those all-new 2023 flagship LS500s, or get ready for a 24, and you will be looking and driving in style. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and when you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the weekend of football. Starting on Saturday morning, Oklahoma versus Texas in Red River. Brett, I'm going to need somebody to figure out the name. Are we calling it the Red River Shootout? Are we calling it the Red River Showdown? Are we calling it the Red River Robbery? Just watching between College Game Day and that game from start to finish, I heard it said multiple times, all 3 ways. I need somebody to make a decision on what we're calling it, and we're not going to change it anymore because I'm tired of hearing it 3 different ways. Brett, what would you like us to call it, and we're not going to change it after we decide?
Well, to each his own, but I've always said shootout. They said they were changing it for for it was the offensive nature of of gun deaths in the country. Come on now, let's not have the death of common sense. There's never been a single gun-related incident in the history of time where a perpetrator was thinking, I'm doing this because Oklahoma and Texas called it this.
That's right.
Come on now, the real reason they wanted to patent something, so they patented Red River Rivalry.
Well, I'm tired of all the All-State Red River rivalry. Actually, you got to get the corporate sponsor.
You're
in
right
there.
with the logo midfield, and we love logos and corporations.
We sure do. But on this show, we're going to call it the Red River Shootout because that's exactly what it was on Saturday. What a game! And let me ask you this, Brett: when's the last time you've seen an Oklahoma defense play like they did? Now I understand gave up some yards, but I have not seen an Oklahoma defense play like that in a long,
30's
long
the new
time.
15.
It sure is. So that was a great start to the day, and it just continued on that night last night we had with Louisville upsetting Notre Dame, the USC-Arizona game going into 3 overtimes. Ole Miss pulling one out against Arkansas. Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets, free them. They're back, baby. What happened there? Take a knee. I mean, come on. You got to know what's going on. Now, I've heard people from Miami say that he doesn't take knees. It's not his thing. I know it happened back in 2018. I don't care.
I heard he was trying to get a second guy 100 yards rushing.
That's another thing I've heard. So I've heard a lot of different reasons.
If that's true, that's fireable offense.
It should be because, I mean, what a way to lose a game. It was incredible. So a great day of college football, and then you take that over into Sunday, which I thought was a great day of NFL football. Until that night game, but I don't think it actually happened. I threw it out of my head last night before I went to bed. I said my prayers, my nightly prayers. I said, Dear Lord, please get that game out of my memory. And I woke up this morning, and how about that?
Just like that.
I mean, he worked another miracle because I don't even know if that game happened yesterday or not. I don't think it did. People are telling me it did. I don't think it happened.
And tomorrow, we make our hockey picks.
You're right. I'm wearing. Brett, I'm wearing my Blackhawks jersey. I had to wear this today because the Kraken play tomorrow. I can't wear my Blackhawks jersey while the Kraken are playing.
Pucks drop, gloves drop.
That's right.
Everything drops tomorrow. My top story, Tulane versus the Tigers. It's game week. Biggest game since AAC championship game. Maybe the biggest regular season game since SMU on the day game day originated from Memphis, and the whole world saw our great city. National TV Friday night with college football poobahs watching. This is how it happens. You got to win those kind of games. Potentially for Ryan Silverfield, the biggest win if he defeats a truly great coach Tulane team. Willie Fritz is the personification of solid. Stakes are big. It's what needed, along with a big crowd is needed Friday night.
Not top story of the day.
You're absolutely right about that. And my not top story of the day, Brett, basketball season hasn't even started yet, and Gonzaga is right back into the news. Gonzaga is back, not as a team, but in realignment talks. It seemed like 3 years ago at this point that we were talking about Gonzaga and maybe UConn entering the Big 12. And we're back. Today, this morning, I woke up to reports of Gonzaga back in the conversation with the Big 12, and that an announcement of Gonzaga joining the Big 12 Conference could be announced as soon as 2 weeks from now. I don't know why we have 2 weeks from now, whatever, instead of just the near future or whatever. But Gonzaga going to the Big 12 doesn't just sound like a possibility. It sounds like they're working out the details to actually make it happen. If that happens, I know a lot of people will be asking the question of why add Gonzaga, but let's not overlook the great basketball that's going to be played with Gonzaga in the Big 12.
True.
It's going to be a heck of a conference if Gonzaga joins the Big 12.
And Brett Yormark, his career is but mostly basketball based.
He's wanted this for a while. I mean, he can say that they didn't want Gonzaga. He has wanted this for a long time.
But, it's a kick right to the teeth
for
Tigers. My not top story, after a week off, Tennessee Volunteers football season is in front of it. What they do in October will largely dictate how good a season it is. A good October, I think, is 2-1. They're home against A&M, third Saturday in October at Alabama, last Saturday in October at Kentucky. 2-1 will be good, 3-0 will be great. It's all on Joe Milton. If he's great, it'll be a great month. If he's average Joe, then it won't be a bowl game as good as the one Tennessee went to last year.
You're right. It's all on him. I mean, he's the he's the X factor for Tennessee football right now. And
think of all the quarterbacks we were talking about. If you take them off their team, Tennessee's they're much worse if you take Joe Milton off.
I think so. Yeah. Certainly. I mean, I'm telling you, we could go through a full list, and we could use the entire 3 hours just naming all the schools that would be 10 times worse if their starting quarterback went there.
A&M, one of the few that didn't take that big a drop off, but they took a drop because those coaches didn't watch all that practice and start Connor Wigman for funsies.
Right. But hey, I mean, they got a good quarterback back there, but there's not, as a backup quarterback, not many other teams around the country that could say the same. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're talking basketball. The American Athletic Conference basketball media days were this morning. We got to talk about what the polls said, who's number one, and who follows. We'll also have to get into the Grizzlies and their first preseason game last night against the Pacers. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk, don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is your dentist. Do me a favor and feel the front of your teeth. How grimy are they? Ugh. It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is the buildup of plaque bacteria that can cause cavities in just months. You need to switch to Crest Pro Health. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. So pick some up on the way home. Smile. Crest has you covered.
Oh, come on, it's funny.
Can't do it.
Trick or treat, here's some meat.
Seriously, the Central Barbecue spot for October has been about Halloween for like 5 straight years.
Look, you've done the ladling Central Barbecue beans into their bag thing.
Yeah, I got in trouble both times. They didn't like the phrase ladling beans into their bag.
Well, what else happens in October? Hey, I tell you what, do they do any pumpkin spice stuff?
God, no.
That's good. I'm tapped for anything else for October. How about just a straight spot about how great the food is at Central Barbecue?
What, like Central Barbecue has the best slow-smoked ribs in Memphis?
Yeah, something like that.
Too boring.
It doesn't matter, we're out of time anyway.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
But I'm looking at a crash here on Bill Morris Parkway. It's going eastbound right when you come off 240 headed towards Ridgeway. Again, Bill Morris Parkway eastbound. That's going outbound before you get to Ridgeway on this crash. It is affecting that traffic on 240 right now, trying to get on to 385. Hey, enjoy Smoky Mountain Fall Festival going on now through the end of the month at Ober-Gatlinburg. Just log on to obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, let's start down in Dallas, where the American Athletic Conference held their media days earlier today on the basketball side, both men's and women's. We've got polls, we've got preseason All-American, literally All-American Conference teams, not All-American teams, but we've got all of that earlier this morning. The Tigers are ranked second in the preseason polls. 3 first-place votes for the Tigers, right behind Florida Atlantic, who received 11 votes. The entire men's preseason poll goes like this. Number 1, Florida Atlantic, like I said, receiving 11 first-place votes. Second, Memphis with 3 first-place votes. Third, Tulane. Fourth, UAB. Fifth, East Carolina. 6th, North Texas. 7th, SMU. 8, Wichita State. 9, USF. 10, Tulsa. 11, Rice. 12, Temple. 13, Charlotte. And 14, UTSA. Brett, what do you make of the Tigers second, but receiving 3 first-place votes?
Well, I would assume Coach Penny Hardaway voted for his team. I'd love to know the other two.
Yeah.
I wish a lot of these preseason votes and just votes in general were public. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be at all to every year I keep my word to the Heisman Trust to not reveal before the announcement's made, but I always tell and always make a copy of exactly how I voted for veracity's sake of here's how I voted. Do that. I wish we'd have a little more bright light of scrutiny on some of this voting. Mm-hmm. But I understand a lot of that is returning starters of a team that went to a Final Four.
Sure. And
a team that when they last met the University of Memphis, they had the narrow 1-point win in Columbus. I can understand that. Now, on some of these individual first and second teams and awards, you know and I know that if he's deemed eligible, DeAndre Williams is going to be on first team AAC at the end of the year when it really matters.
Absolutely, 100%.
October 9th doesn't make a hill of beans compared to March 9th.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so I think if he was eligible right now and if he was with the team practicing, I would be very surprised if he wasn't listed as the player of the year, preseason player of the year, right? and first team. But the problem I have with the American, you're seeing this a lot. I am glad that on their first team and second team, they only have 5 players. But I don't like this rookie of the year and player of the year, them putting 2 players for both. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't care if we had a tie or whatever happened. Figure out a way to just have one player because only one player can win the award.
That's it, and this isn't major, but we know it. We don't play 5 guards.
Right.
I'd like to see a little more positional, and I know we're in a position-less world in basketball, but I understand why everything's in Dallas. It's where the league office is, right there at Dickies Arena, where the conference tournament's going to be really for a long run. As long as Memphis remains in the AAC come March, that's where the conference tournament's going to be.
Absolutely. But these first and second teams and also player and rookies of the year are interesting for the Tigers. When you look at the first team, one Tiger makes the first team preseason all-conference team. Javon Quinterly, the transfer from Alabama, joins Eric Gaines from UAB, John L. Davis from Florida Atlantic, Elijah Martin from Florida Atlantic, and Jalen Forbes, which we know what Jalen Forbes can do, from Tulane.
Sure do.
On the second team, Jordan Brown, the only Tiger on the second team, the center transfer from Louisiana. He joins R.J. Felton from East Carolina, Max Fielder from Rice, Zurich Phelps from SMU, and Kevin Cross from Tulane. Then when you go to the players of the year, preseason players of the year, John L. Davis and Elijah Martin. We know what those guys did for Florida Atlantic last year. We know what those guys did in the tournament. But the rookie of the year, two guys both from the University of Memphis, Carl Scherenfant and J.J. Taylor, the two preseason rookies of the year for the Tigers. I'm curious. I'm guessing since both of these guys are listed as the preseason rookie of the year, I'm guessing that both of them are, at least the coaches think, both of them are going to receive playing time this year, which is a question I've heard a lot of people ask going into the season is with all of this veteran, all these transfer portal additions, when you look at the freshmen, how many of those guys are going to see playing time? So I think this is a good sign for both these guys.
Well, they're going to see playing time particularly early.
Yeah.
And how they play will dictate if they get more as the season advances. There's a good chance. Now on that rookie of the year, and it is listed as rookie, not newcomer, not freshman. It's listed as rookie, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I'd love to know this. Is it really newcomer? Could it be a transfer?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would say probably not, just because I think if it's a newcomer – Quinterly,
you wouldn't last year. You wouldn't want Kendrick being since he went to Memphis and it was new. Yeah, I understand that. But even with this, there's a good chance that Memphis could have the rookie of the year, and it's neither one of those listed in the preseason.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think they've got some good freshmen this year, and how much they play, how much action they see. But I think from what I've heard. From people who have been at the open practices, from people who have talked to the coaching staff and everything, that, I mean, you could go down the list of these 4 or 5 freshmen they have, and all of them have been very impressive this year. So I'm excited about these guys.
And I get it a lot. I get it a lot in August from people that largely are watching practices through very rose-colored, friendly glasses. Sure. And every year, every summer, I hear what went back to the Finch Center, now to Laurie Walton. Man, you ought to see these pickup games. You just wouldn't believe it.
Absolutely.
But I'm getting it now from people I really, really, really trust that I don't think are just putting a spin or their hue of things onto it, that it is really elite, big-time stuff. And, again, I don't think there's any way Quinterly can match Kendrick Davis's year from last year. Just get close.
Well, and I think, and we've talked about this before, I think there are probably more weapons around him where he doesn't have to be what they needed from last year because you have all of these
Whenever
guys
I had to
around
clear
him.
out, and Kendrick had to do
Kendrick
it.
just had to do everything last year. I mean, he had to be the facilitator. He had to be the scorer. He had to be the entire offense pretty much outside of DeAndre.
Heart and soul.
And so I think this year you've got more guys around Quinterly where he doesn't really have to do that. He just needs to be a facilitator. He just needs to make some shots. You don't need him to be everything. I also want to point out on the women's side, the Tigers picked 5th, and Madison Griggs on the first team. She's the first Memphis player to be on the conference first team since 2014. So definitely huge for Maddie to be on the first team.
And real progress being made in that program. I know yet another new head coach, but real progress being made there. This might be the most extreme, selfish request ever. What if Quinterly fell somewhere in between Jeremiah Martin and Kendrick Davis? What if he had that kind of year?
I think you got to be happy with it. I mean, those are two
Wouldn't you
great
put Kendrick's
guards.
year even a little better than Jeremiah's year?
Probably, yeah.
And the team was certainly better.
Sporting team was way better, yeah.
And that's what Javon Quinterly will be asked to do. Now, I've got a lot of wise, you-know-what Bama friends of mine that like to say, get down to you need a bucket, he's going to dribble it off his foot.
Right.
I think a lot of that, and you hear that around college sports now, of that's sour grapes of a guy leaving.
Of course. I mean, I think you hear that a lot, especially with what the transfer portal is now and so many guys leaving for different reasons, and the fan base, for the most part, don't know those reasons, and so they automatically start assuming different things. And so I think, you get that from a lot of fan bases, so I expect the same thing.
But because fans do it, don't mean we have to.
No, absolutely not. And so I'm excited about what Quinterly can do. I mean, I've been following Quinterly since he was in high school, and I think he's a very good player. Just needs to stay healthy. Has battled some injuries at times.
It was the big get, I thought, in the portal.
I thought so too. And with a lot of really big gets, I thought, from the portal. I think this team, when you look at the transfer pickups they got, I think you should be very excited for what this team can do. Penny, it just seems like a different. The way he talks about this team is different than he's talked about previous teams. Even last year when you had some transfers come in, it was everyone said last year it's different. He doesn't want all the smoke. He just get to business. This team even seems different from last year, the way he talks about them and the way he talks about how they interact with each other. So I'm very excited for this season, and before we know it, we'll have the first exhibition. But last night we got our first, exhibition for the Grizzlies, the first preseason game last night against the Indiana Pacers. How much of that game did you catch?
I didn't watch any.
Really? I watched every second of it, Brett. Oh, man, what a fun time it was.
I'm almost agnostic on preseason. I did bump into and check in at the box score, and various media people, including DeMichael Cole, who will join us in 2 weeks and start talking Grizzlies with us on Monday afternoons. I try to stay informed, plugged in, and they do a great job of it. But no, I didn't. Not with all the football, and even with that football on last night.
Yeah, I needed something to keep my eyes off of that game. So I watched a lot of the Grizzlies game. And first off, before I say anything about the game last night, Rob Fisher had a pink jacket on last night for pregame and during the game when they flashed into him a couple times. It looked great. I mean, a great start to the preseason for Rob.
We did a late summer event. He had on pink trousers.
Really?
Well, he would work the coat and the pants some night.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely fantastic. But no, he was looking good before the game. I flipped it on, and he was the first person I saw on the screen, and I was like, oh, that's a good look, Rob.
It's time.
It is time. But I thought last night was a lot of fun. Me kind of reminiscing a little bit. My friends reminiscing, texting me about Derrick Rose and what he did early in that first half. I'm telling you, I don't know, especially when Ja Morant comes back, how much he plays, but there is still some gas in that tank, and I think him not playing at all last year, being kind of banged up, just not being used by the Knicks, I think that helped him a lot. I think sitting out and kind of being able to almost save a year of his career, I think is huge, and he showed something last night. I think finished with about 13 points, 12 or 13 points. I was really impressed with what I saw from Derrick Rose. I know a ton of people, not just Grizzly fans, but also Tiger fans, were really excited to see him back in the FedEx Forum last night.
And should be. First time in 15 years with Memphis across the front of that jersey. He wore it so well then for national runner-up. Time for the banner to go back up and stay up. But if he stays healthy and can give just contributory minutes, nothing, primary, just, contributory minutes, ice his knees, really take care of him physically, get him to the end of the year at playoff time. And, this could be it for him in a good story.
Sure.
A good way to go out.
Absolutely, and so it was a lot of fun to watch him. I know after the game, Rob interviewed him on Bally Sports, and kind of he was saying
we call that the walk-off.
We sure do, and and Derrick Rose, was talking about how it was almost he was reminiscing and kind of to be back in Memphis was made him feel really good. So that was really cool to see. Just some notes I had from the game last night. Kennard's going to shoot the ball much more this year than he has in past years, and they even even
but
we're
it's
talking about
set shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And but they've
it's not much off the dribble.
No. But Jenkins has told the media and that he has told Luke Kennard, you got to shoot the ball more. I mean, we want you out there shooting the ball. So I think you're going to see a more aggressive Kennard this year. They're going to roll out smaller lineups. They were talking about at one point we saw Desmond Bain, Luke Kennard, John Conchar, David Roddy, and Steven Adams out there together. Got to have Steven Adams out there because when Steven Adams won on the court last night. A little bit of a rebounding issue for the Grizzlies, and we saw that last year in the postseason. LaRavia played really well in the second half, especially the last part of the fourth quarter and into overtime, kind of sealing the game. But I think right now he's trying to play himself into the rotation. They said before the game that, I know DeMichael Cole reported this, that the starters and rotation guys were going to play about 20 minutes last night. Jake LaRavia did not check in the first half. If he did check in the first half, it was like the last minute of the first half, and then played most of the second half. But I think LaRavia is trying to play his way into this rotation right now. I think he's out right now.
Let's grind 2 weeks from
I'm
Wednesday,
ready.
Opening night against New Orleans.
I'm ready. It's going to be fun. Next preseason game on Tuesday. I can't tell you I'm going to be as intrigued in that one as I was last night with all the hockey we have tomorrow night. Brett, don't get me excited just yet. We're going to make our picks tomorrow. Too. Oh, yeah.
Me too, watching the hockey.
You're a hockey guy, Brett. I mean, everybody knows it. I mean, you practically grew up on skates, so it'll be...
well, not really, but okay. Yeah, we can go with that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a quick stretch to opening night in the NBA.
I did not play youth hockey. Have you ever noticed everybody that ever has is very proud they played youth hockey?
Well, I mean, it's something you should be prideful in. I mean, it's a big thing to say you played youth hockey. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the weekend in college football.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/primetime and use code PRIMETIME. That's code PRIMETIME at prizepicks.com/primetime for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. From Las Vegas, it's Week 5 of the NFL season, ending with the matchup of two proud franchises looking for a spark. It's the 1-3 Raiders hosting Jordan Love and the 2-2 Green Bay Packers. Join me and Mike Golick from Las Vegas for all the action of the Packers and the Raiders on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets' offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all of the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and man, it was a fun weekend of college football. And that first game of the day, Texas versus Oklahoma, really set the stage. I mean, it was everything I could have wanted and more. I'm saying game of the year since the start of the season, and I'd be surprised if any game tops that. It was just so much fun. That will be an SEC game next year. Greg Sankey was on hand.
Greg Sankey there.
Sure
no Brett Yormark.
No Brett Yormark. A little bitter Greg Yormark is. But that game was absolutely unreal.
We texted back and forth during the presentation of it, the just the whole panoply, the whole scene. They said almost 400,000 people on the property of Fair Park, about 75,000 in the stadium, and it is split as fair and as 50-50 as any split I've ever seen, and it just looked great. The drone and blimp shots just felt like you were there. I mean, you could really feel it, and the intensity and the passion of those fan bases, and then the play for Oklahoma. Brent Venables really needed it. He got it. Texas is good. I think Texas's defensive front may be the best front in the country.
Yes. I mean, I think both those teams are excellent teams. And I did not, Brett, I have my my rankings of teams that have shown me they can win the national championship. I'll tell you, any Texas fans out there, that loss on Saturday did not take them off of my list. They're still right there on my list. Now, maybe down a couple of slots. But
how many's on that list?
8. Now, I didn't update it completely.
That can win it or that can get in the football 4?
No, Brett. No, Brett. Neither. They have shown that they can win the national championship. Now, does that mean they even make the college football playoffs? Absolutely not. It just means that they have shown me.
You have North Carolina in there?
I do not. But Saturday's game could have certainly put them in there.
They're starting maybe to be showing.
It seems like it.
It was Drake May's best game of the year, and again we've talked about it all year. I think it is the concurrent theme of the year is the quarterback play around the country.
Yeah.
Even in the second half, Ohio State's quarterback found something.
Yeah.
Talia Tagovailoa was probably the better of the two for the first 3 quarters of that game, but in crunch time, money time, fourth quarter at the Horseshoe, the Ohio State quarterback was much better. What Michigan's doing, I think Georgia and Michigan have moved to not a league of their own, but a little separation from the next 4 to 6 grouping.
Yeah.
And then that next 4 to 6, you could put a lot of different people in there. And then I think there's about 2 or 3 more. And then after that, it's everybody else is kind of playing for a really fun, good season.
Yeah.
But not to be in the football 4.
Yeah, and what Michigan did, I know it's Minnesota, and Minnesota's not having a great season this year, but what Michigan
Little
did,
brown jug game, no less.
Woo, yeah, that's right. It just means more. But to take a term from the SEC, but that was unbelievable. I mean, 52-10. Both Michigan's offense and Michigan's defense both outscored Minnesota. So, I mean, that really there's a way that top teams should beat non-ranked teams, and that's exactly how it's done. What Michigan did, it wasn't even fun to watch. I had that game on the entire time. It was not fun to watch.
Just blasted them.
Just blasted them,
and PJ. The boat took in a lot of water early.
It did. And even after the first quarter, it was 10-3 at the end of the first quarter, and it did not feel like Minnesota was anywhere near that ball game. I mean, it just already seemed like
you
a
knew the
blowout.
dam was going to bust.
Yeah, and so that was a really fun game.
Third high Hardwood in an hour. I know.
I love it.
That's not fair. Now, I'm not talking about if it had strychnine or something in it that would hurt you, but just on a bet, on a dare, would you take a swig out of the little brown jug, not knowing what it is in there or what it would taste like?
No, sure. Why not?
I wouldn't, because I don't want to violate never drinking again, and I'm afraid something might be in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I can't wreck 30 years off the little brown jug taking a draw off it, can I?
No, you can't. That's a good point. But I'm a very picky person with food and drink, so it's...
Me too.
I'll do it.
I don't like Dr. Pepper. I better be careful of that brown jug.
If you're not going for Dr. Pepper, you better be careful about that brown jug. But that'll do it for our first hour. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk to David Cobb from CBS Sports.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com.
the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They moved that wreck pretty quickly on Bill Morris Parkway 385, right when you come off 240. That looks so much better out towards Collierville now. Traffic's on the increase just a bit in the construction. We're watching it. 55 north and southbound between Macklemore and South Parkway. A lot of folks were off today. That's why traffic volume is down. Hey, Smoky Mountain Fall Festival, it's going on right now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check out all the details at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan now on Sports Time is national college football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
We're trying to catch up with David Cobb. He will join us momentarily. He is with CBS, as the intro man said, and we will talk with David about the weekend in college football, but also with all the various media days and start to college basketball. It's very, very soon for that, and David covers it oh so well at CBS Sports. Brian and I talked about the Red River Shootout Saturday. It just played out perfectly, and I think I'm with you. I think it is the game of the year because it had some defense in it, and 34-30 is now kind of the new 17-14 a little bit from yesteryear. We're just not going to have those kind of games, and I don't think the public responds well to those kind of games anymore. Brian, I think they prefer a little more action than that, but a lot more defense than Ole Miss and LSU had. David Cobb indeed joins us now. We're not going to redo the intro. We're just going to say good Monday afternoon to you, David.
Well, I wanted to hear it. I'm disappointed.
I can pull it back up if
we
you want.
We wanted you to hear it. Hit it again, Brian. Hit it again. If you can.
And Jay Morgan now on Sports Time is national college football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb with us now. David, how are you doing this afternoon?
It's all you.
Man, thank you guys. I feel like I'm properly equipped to talk football.
Well, that's how we want you to feel.
You are very equipped. David, I know you did because it's your job. I stayed up to the wee hours, and I had the remote control in my hand, and before the guy's knee hit the ground for Arizona, I was hitting the off button because it was late.
Guys, okay, I've got to come clean.
Oh, no.
Because somebody might hear me and call me out on it if I don't. Yeah, I didn't make it to the end of Arizona USC. I tried. I really tried. But when USC, I think they went up. No, here's what happened. They had a touchdown waved off right before the half. And I thought, well, they're going to score here anyway. And then I could not keep my eyes open. And so I called it at halftime. And I regretted that when I woke up and I saw what had happened because, man, what another just horrible win. If such a thing exists as a horrible win, USC has become the master of that. And that Arizona game was a horrible win for USC.
Lincoln Riley almost joined Mario Cristobal over the weekend. It was really poor handling of a lot of things down the stretch. But, David, for Mario Cristobal, he did it again. That happened to him at Oregon. The best two words in the sport, it's victory formation. He needs to learn how to do it.
That is inexplicable. I yelled when that happened. I mean, not the situation where they should have kneeled, but the fact that it led to a 26-second, 74-yard game-winning drive with no timeouts left from Georgia Tech is crazy. I mean, even if Miami did the proper thing there offensively and kneeled the football, I just beyond that, the defensive lapse just blew my mind. The fact that you let on consecutive plays a receiver get behind the defense for gains of 30-plus yards, it's just inexplicable. It's inexcusable. And then you can circle it all back to the decision to run the football. I mean, can you imagine, guys, if that happened to an SEC school? I mean, the Miami fan base is kind of indifferent to a certain extent. That stadium was about a third full. But if that happened at any SEC school, it would be they would have to have armed security details for every member of the offensive staff for 3 weeks.
For Saban, people would the reaction to Nick Saban would be over the top. Now there was somebody that cared at Miami because they were hurling bottles at the Georgia Tech score.
They were. I saw that. And when you get Miami fans riled up enough to throw bottles on the field, you've really done
all 8 of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I mean, just wild. What a wild, batty ending to a college football game. And making matters worse, Georgia Tech lost at home last week, 2 weeks ago now, to Bowling Green.
That's right.
So it's not even like that Miami did this collapse against a good opponent. This was against one of the worst teams in the ACC that had just lost at home to a bad team from the MAC. So I can't imagine what those Miami message boards are like. I assume there are Miami message boards, and if there are, I'm sure they're a really
not a happy bunch
right
yeah.
now. Yes.
Almost as soon as that play happened, an Ole Miss friend of mine texted me, and he said, I swear I won't be responsible for what I do if Cristobal doing that leads to Lane going to Miami.
Yikes.
Wow. What a yeah, I mean,
a good friend of mine's son was at the game that's a student at the U.
Yeah, it's the fallout from that could be significant because of what it's going to do to that fan base's sort of feeling about Mario Cristobal. I mean, he's going to survive. They're recruiting well. That's what he does. But this just confirms to me that he is not a very good in-game strategist or coach because to me it always felt like their teams at Oregon weren't as good as the talent on the rosters. And it feels like we're headed towards a similar situation now at Miami. So, I mean, they're hanging their laurels on that Texas A&M victory. And you know, that loss just crushes their chances in a wide open ACC, an ACC in which Clemson doesn't really appear to be a factor, an ACC in which Florida State continues to look susceptible. And Miami absolutely could have been a part of that league race this year. And a loss like that at home to Georgia Tech really puts you in a bad spot.
David, you brought up that that last week Georgia Tech lost, or I guess 2 weeks ago Georgia Tech lost to Bowling Green. Can I make it a little worse? So they lost to Bowling Green the week before. Bowling Green got shut out by Miami of Ohio, 27-0. And if you remember, Miami U beat Miami of Ohio 38-3 in week 1. So it was almost a complete circle for Miami.
Yeah, we're probably only 5 or 6 degrees of separation from Miami being worse than the Division III. Like there's probably some way to connect the Rhodes links to being better than Miami football right now. Shout out Rhodes. But now it was just it just makes it all the worse when you can connect dots that easily. Where's Miami go from here? Great question. I don't know. It felt like they'd made strides. That A&M game was so great, such a great win for them, and now you're back to square one. I mean, I thought about this, like, if I'm Mario Cristobal, how do I even redeem myself to my players at that point? I mean, the only thing you could do as a coach is say, you know what, guys, I make y'all run sprints all August when you do things that I don't like. I'm going to run sprints until I puke at practice today because
he's got to go hurl.
Right.
Now, David, I think maybe that game is certainly extreme, but I think out there it is really narrow. The difference between I'm going to bring it up. The game I was at Saturday. There's not that much difference between Arkansas and Ole Miss. Arkansas has been on the wrong side of some injury bug. They have had a lot of penalties. That is a big difference. They've also had some untimely turnovers, and Ole Miss hadn't. They've been very good with the ball. But a 5-1 Ole Miss, a 2-4 Arkansas, you change a couple of things at Tulane for Ole Miss, a couple of things in the fourth quarter against Haynes King and Georgia Tech. I know that margin looks bigger than I think it really was. One thing against LSU, a couple Saturday night. That's how narrow this thing really is out there. It is that fragile, that tenuous.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Arkansas is not nearly as bad as its record is. And it feels like a lot of college football is kind of dancing on a razor's edge this season. The only two utterly dominant teams in the sport are Georgia and Michigan right now. And both those teams just flexed on the entire country on Saturday. I mean, Georgia's dismantling of Kentucky, incredibly impressive. It's what I needed to see to validate Georgia at number one. Michigan, just obliterating Minnesota and grinding them into the dust. And then you've got another 8 or 9 undefeated teams after those guys, but a lot of them are just squeaking by, winning close games. Florida State almost losing at Boston College earlier this season. Ohio State messing around with Maryland for 3 quarters. And the list goes on there with some of these teams that have played really, really close games that they easily could have lost. And so we've not seen Georgia. Well, we have seen Georgia in that position to a certain extent against South Carolina in Auburn. We've not seen Michigan in that position. But with almost everybody, even at the top this year, it's been a situation at one point or another where they're a bounce or two away from their season looking a lot different right now.
Well, David, I got to ask you about the Red River Shootout on Saturday because I was locked into that game from start to finish, and then the energy I had from that game kind of got me through the rest of the day. But for OU, I mean, that defense, I know they gave up over 500 yards of total offense to Texas, but the turnovers they were forcing, that goal line stand they had, I mean, when's the last time you've seen an Oklahoma defense like this?
Yeah, that was impressive for them to come through the way they did. That was my biggest question going into the game with Oklahoma, is that we had seen their defense play very well in flashes, but it hadn't been consistent enough to where I fully believed they could keep Texas down in key moments and get off the field when it mattered. And they did that, forcing the field goal late and keeping Quinn Ewers off balance at times throughout that game. They did enough to give Dylan Gabriel and the Oklahoma offense a chance. And this is what I thought Oklahoma could be almost this good last season because of how great they are in both their coordinator positions, with Brent Venables as their head coach, who's one of the most reputable defensive coordinators in college football, and then with Jeff Lebby as the offensive coordinator, with a quarterback in Dylan Gabriel who is tailor-made for that system. It was only a matter of time before those two coaches started putting it all together. And now that they have, you see the results. And guys, look at Oklahoma's schedule here, because there's not another team left on that schedule that Oklahoma won't be favored against. And they've got a shot to not only win the Big 12, but to make the college football playoff. And there's a scenario where Oklahoma ends up in the college football playoff and USC does not. And that would be quite a plot twist, considering how well year one went at USC for Lincoln Riley and how poorly year one at Oklahoma went for Brent Venables. If we end up in a situation where it's OU in this year's playoff, I think that's going to surprise a lot of people.
It was some special day for Oklahoma fans. Win Red River and Lincoln Riley almost lose late Saturday night.
Yeah, that's the only thing that could have made it better for Oklahoma fans is if that night had been capped off with a USC loss, and it nearly was.
And you covered how the contempt and the acrimony it was when Lane Kiffin left Tennessee. I don't think there's ever been an uglier divorce where they truly loathe the former coach like OU fans do Lincoln Riley.
Right, there were years worth of a relationship built up there, and not only that, when you flash back to the Lane Kiffin departure at Tennessee, he had only been there 1 year. And it wasn't as though he was able to take players from the current roster with him because of the transfer rules at the time. Now, Tennessee fans did get mad about the fact that he took some members of the signing class with him out there to USC, but there wasn't a Caleb Williams on the Tennessee roster for Lane Kiffin to take to USC with him. And even if there was, the rules were such that it wouldn't have been possible. And as acrimonious as that was, you're spot on. The departure of Lincoln Riley for USC was to a whole nother degree. So that win over Texas on Saturday, it was more than just a win over the rival opponent, and that's one of the best rivalries in college football. It was also a win over Lincoln Riley, a win over the horrific thing that happened to them in 2022. So. When you combine the fact that Oklahoma also lost to Texas 49-0 last season, I just don't know how a single victory could be any more meaningful in the regular season than that Oklahoma win was over Texas.
Talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports, talking college football and college basketball. And this was a Big 12 game this year, but next year it will be an SEC game. And I guess in response to how great of a game it was on Saturday, Big 12 felt like they needed to make some news today, and the reports are out that it looks like Gonzaga in the Big 12 could be a thing in the next couple of weeks. What have you heard about Gonzaga and them joining the Big 12 conference?
Well, I'm surprised on my end because just a couple of months ago when the Pac-12 schools, the four, are going to join the Big 12, and when the Big 12 pulled that off, they started to cool on the idea of landing Gonzaga and UConn. And so I was under the impression that these talks were dead. And then today it comes out that they are, in fact, not dead, and that Gonzaga could still be on the way to the Big 12. I think that the hurdles here are going to be what this looks like financially. I'm not sure that Gonzaga is desperate enough to pull an SMU and forego any sort of income here. But I don't know that the Big 12 is necessarily gonna roll out the red carpet for Gonzaga financially. I think it makes a lot of sense from the Big 12's perspective to go ahead and cement their place as the best college basketball conference in the country. But I think they need to make it make sense from the Gonzaga perspective, because Gonzaga's been pretty content to dominate the West Coast Conference for the last 25 years in basketball, and they're doing just fine out there, and they're making it work financially. And, yeah, going to the Big 12 is an increase in visibility. It might help them in recruiting, but what is the Big 12 going to do to incentivize that? Because I'm just not sure why Gonzaga would feel a desperate need to make that move, at this moment, unless there's really something in it for them.
David, I love asking this thematic question. All right, for college basketball, you could have unfettered access. I mean, you could do and be involved in every meeting, everything you can. Where would you like to be embedded now until opening night? One place in college basketball, one school.
Yeah, well, shoot, why not keep it local here and go to Memphis? Because from a roster
pretty
standpoint,
good choice, and we could eat lunch more often together.
Absolutely, I would love it. And so Memphis is interesting to me because of all the new pieces. I mean, there must be more roster turnover at Memphis than anywhere else in the country. I guarantee you there are very few places that have overturned their rotations and their rosters as much as Memphis, especially places that aren't in the first year under a new coach. I mean, you look at the amount of turnover at Memphis, this is like first-year coach stuff. And, here they are putting together one of the most talented rosters in the country. I mean, definitely a top 15 or top 20 roster in terms of talent. And now to see how they bring it all together, how they make it all work. What are those dynamics like in the meeting room and in practice? And what is Penny doing to sort of cultivate camaraderie and chemistry among this group of guys who, they're all coming here expecting to eat. they're all coming here probably under the impression that they're going to be one of the best players on the team. And now you've got to blend it together and make it all work. So I'm curious to see how it works. I think AAC Media Day was today.
It was?
Memphis and FAU, man. That's going to make for an interesting top tier in that conference. It's not going to be a great league, but the top two are going to be very, very interesting this season.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Going back to college football for a second, Notre Dame, I had high hopes for them this week, and Brett did not. Brett was all over this game and all over Louisville winning it, which is what they did. How big of a loss was this for Notre Dame and their kind of aspirations for the season?
Yeah, I mean, it eliminates them from the college football playoff race in early October, and that's really disappointing for a team that was 1 yard and maybe one defensive player away from beating Ohio State just a couple of weeks back. Just think how different it looks right now for Notre Dame if they're going into this USC game on Saturday night with a win over Ohio State already under their belt. And so it's been a mixed bag for the Fighting Irish. They looked really, really good early. But now they've taken a couple of losses, and it feels like with how weak and susceptible that USC defense has been, that it's almost a must-win against USC for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. Because if you lose this one, it kind of feels like you're treading water and you're just on track for the same type of season you had a year ago. And with the way that Marcus Freeman has recruited, and with the amount of success that his predecessor had, the expectations at Notre Dame are certainly 10 wins or more. And you lose against USC, and all of a sudden winning 10 games no longer a part of the picture in terms of your regular season outcome. And so it's a huge week for both these teams because their aspirations are hanging in the balance. And I can guarantee you USC fans are very nervous about the way their team has looked recently.
David, I know it doesn't have a catchy title like the Iron Bowl or the Egg Bowl or Cocktail Party or Red River Shootout, but this weekend Knoxville's put up or shut up time for A&M in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I'll be at Neyland Stadium inside the press box for the first time and get this 5 years. It's been 5 years since I've been inside the Neyland press box. So excited for that one. It's the big CBS afternoon game. Tennessee can make a statement there if they beat the Aggies, but Texas A&M is going to have their back against the wall and I think play a pretty desperate game of football here. And when A&M has been at their best this season, they've been pretty good. I mean, I thought they were excellent in all phases in the first half against Alabama, and they kind of squandered that game in the second half. A&M was getting after Jalen Milroe. They were hitting big plays in the passing game. They were getting contributions from their special teams. It was all working for them in the first half, and then everything changed. And so I think you're going to see an A&M team play with a little bit of desperation in Knoxville on Saturday. And for Tennessee's side of it, it's kind of the same situation. I mean, they win this game, everything's back on the table in terms of what they want to accomplish. But if they lose this game, then it's it's kind of back to square one, and you can kiss the SEC East goodbye, you can kiss the college football playoff goodbye. I mean, all that stuff's already kind of teetering on a whim here for Tennessee. So it's huge game for both teams, and I think you'll see that desperation.
Yeah, that's
after going to the Orange Bowl, you don't want to go to the Belk Bowl.
No, you do not.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, David, it was a fun weekend, especially on Saturday with all the college football, and this weekend looks to be another really fun one. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next Monday.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, David.
David Cobb with us from CBS Sports talking college football and college basketball. And this weekend, tonight, anytime, two great locations for barbecue. We got a lot of great barbecue in town, but we got two with the Commissary brand for sure. The new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original in Germantown, and they're both perfect for big groups, about 75 that can easily be accommodated at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, and 30 to 40 at the original in Germantown, started in 1981, and it is built into this. It's built into this because of you and Walker Taylor and his staff. They know it, and they're very, very appreciative of it. Constantly tell me to tell you thank you for making the Commissary appointment for all your barbecue needs, whether it's Houston, Levy, and Poplar or the original in Germantown, that Memphis-style barbecue, and ribs so good on the Memphis slow-cooked way. If you're craving an easier way to order it, right now you can text Commissary to 337 888-866-3333. Start that feast with the appetizers like the smoked chicken wings or the tamales or the cheese plate or the barbecue nachos that were invented in the early 80s at the Germantown Commissary, and then dig into the ribs or the shoulder chopped or on a sandwich, on the plate, a big sandwich, however you want it, you can get it at either commissary. It comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack, and that's perfect for tailgating. All afternoon tailgating coming up Friday afternoon at Tiger Lane before the big game of Memphis and Tulane. The best desserts you can imagine. Lemon ice box pie is the best I've ever had anywhere. Banana pudding, strawberry cakes. You can get those whole pies, whole cakes. Call 901-754-5540 or go online at commissarybbq.com. They're in Collierville and Germantown and the party areas, the orders to go, catering, tailgating. Brunswick stew season's getting ready to hit for me, and soon I'll be telling you more about the holiday bird for Thanksgiving and the Christmas season holidays. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Let's grab a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you're watching the Tigers play or whatever team you support, you always look for the end result, the winning score. And when you're thinking of selling your home, the ultimate goal line is the closing table. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Getting your home sold for what you want and when you want it makes everyone happy. You should talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers when you're thinking of selling your home, and make sure I'm one of them, especially if you want results. Most people have heard that when you want the job done, you need to call Sheldon. Call or email me today and find out about my highly successful strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option. You can reach me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten. Call today at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. And go Tigers!
There's a whole lot of savings going on now at Staples. During Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $150 on select office and desk chairs. And when you buy a chair, you save 25% on desks, storage solutions, and office accessories. Plus, your local Staples now accepts Amazon returns. And when you return an Amazon order at Staples, you receive a coupon for $10 off your next $30 Staples purchase. Now is definitely the time to save at Staples. Chair offer ends 10/28, in-store only. Exclusions apply on Amazon offer.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Hey sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Green Bay Las Vegas is a monster, side and total. Green Bay Las Vegas, critical information confirmed, plus Thursday early release. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread. Green Bay at Las Vegas is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 or the season free. 1-800-244-5506. 5 big plays, John Anthony has you covered. Call 1-800-244-5506 or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Howdy, partner. Grab the family, hop in the old wagon, and get on up here to Sunrise at Wolf Chase for this Western Trading Day sale. Biggest sale of the year. Got a hankering for a new buggy? Well, hold your horses and listen up. Interest rates as low as 0.9%. Discounts up to $8,000. Bankruptcy, slow pay, repo. It's okay at Sunrise. $12 million used car inventory and new Buicks and GMCs arriving daily. Goodness gracious, now is the time to treat yourself. And check out the Sunrise Truck Corral. All trucks, all sizes. Call, click, or come on down to Sunrise Wolf Chase and Bartlett. Ask for Woody. SunriseMemphis.com. Y'all, we make it fun to buy a car.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A little bit of traffic volume starting to develop at times. 55 trying to get south of town. It's still clear at the moment down through South Haven. It's been lighter than normal out here with a lot of folks off. Traffic still moving over here at I-40 as you come past Covington Pike all the way over to White Station. Hey, Smoky Mountain Fall Festival, it's going on right now through the end of the month at Oberg-Gallenberg. Check it out at obergallenberg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for a look back at the weekend in the SEC. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies with 9,000 square foot in Laurelwood. Let's go inside the SEC with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Chad Kelly in the gun formation. 3rd and inches for Ole Miss.
Carlton will kick it. It is on the way, and it is up.
Buck Bellew looking at it, going to pitch it to Herschel Walker, try to get him outside. He's going to get 5.
The snap is high. Kelly grabs it, wants to throw, fires it up in the air. Treadwell can't get it.
It is good! Oh, my!
Get a deflection is caught! Deflection is caught! And down the sidelines is Adebayo. He's to the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
He's got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. He needs a block. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel.
And you can wrap this one in maroon and white, my friends.
Arkansas is headed to Atlanta. The national champion is clad in big orange.
The day got started early in Columbia. Eagerly awaited matchup with LSU, undefeated Mizzou. No more, but they played well. They just couldn't stop LSU, who really can. 49 in back-to-back weeks for LSU. 49-39. LSU defeats Missouri. Jaden Daniels, he really ripped them. LSU win. If they win out, I think he wins the Heisman Trophy. But we know there's a winning quotient in Heisman Trophy years. When Troy Davis ran for all those yards at Iowa State, he wasn't going to win the Heisman Trophy on those teams. Right. Now those were really bad teams. But for Jaden Daniels, I don't think LSU can lose 2 more times, and maybe not even just 1 more time. He was 15 of 21 Saturday for 259 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 15 carries, 130 yards rushing. Brady Cook was real good, but he wasn't as good as Jaden Daniels. Daniels was much better. 2 interceptions for Cook, 1 a touchdown return for interception return for a touchdown late in the game, and that sealed it for LSU. 274 yards rushing for the LSU Tigers, only 116 from Mizzou. LSU at Auburn this week, and I'm sorry, that's not right. Auburn goes to LSU. Auburn at LSU, and Mizzou goes to Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we know about both of these teams, LSU and Missouri, is they know how to do offense. I mean, defense may be a question, especially for LSU over these last 2 weeks. But
hard to believe that.
Yeah, really. But both of these teams have the offensive side of the ball down. I mean, both teams over 500 yards of total offense. And when you look at punts, I immediately, when this game was over, because I was kind of flipping back and forth from this game and a couple other games, I immediately went to the punts. How many times did these two teams punt? 5 combined punts between the two teams. Missouri only punted the ball 2 times. Luther Burden, another fantastic game. He didn't find the end zone, but he did have 149 yards on 11 receptions. Like you said, Brady Cook was good, but 2 interceptions. And Jaden Daniels, I think you're absolutely right. Jaden Daniels has been, in terms of talking about all of these quarterbacks around the country, Jaden Daniels is one of those that has been up there all season long. A really, really good quarterback. This was a really fun game. Honestly, I know LSU got the win. I know this game has been overshadowed by a lot of other games, not only in the conference, but in the country. But this was what I thought one of the more entertaining games of the day.
Mizzou, you got to put in natural grass. That sheen, that brightness from that turf, man, that makes for a hard watch. Mm-hmm. Saturday in Starkville, they can grow the grass in Starkville at a great ag school like Mississippi State. State wins 41-28, 3 touchdowns passing for Will Rogers, but he was hurt. Injured left shoulder late in the game. Open date. Then they go to Fayetteville for a survivor pool game between Arkansas and Mississippi State. Mike Wright was pretty good in relief.
Sure was.
State has defensive problems, though. They allowed 413 yards total offense to Western Michigan. Open date this week, and then to Fayetteville, and State needs the open date badly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, nobody needs an open date more than Mississippi State right now, especially with Will Rogers and his injury. I haven't seen really any update on his injury yet from anybody. I know after the game they said they didn't know the severity of it, but I thought he was really good when he played. I thought Mike Wright came in and did a really good job, but you're right, that defense, I mean, you would think, especially in the middle of SEC play, that they would be able to shut down a Western Michigan team that really isn't that great this season, but they allow 400 yards. So you're right, the defense needs some work, but they definitely need the off week, especially to get their quarterback healthy.
You know who just loves the idea of both State and Ole Miss off this weekend? It's the TV stations around the state of Mississippi that are so busy on Friday night with high school coverage, then stretch really thin on Saturday. Everybody gets a break with both Ole Miss and State off this weekend. In College Station, it was Alabama 26-20 over Texas A&M. The news of Bama's death, it's been greatly exaggerated. 3-0 and on top of the SEC West. I think steadily getting a little better, and certainly at quarterback with Jalen Milroe. DJ Durkin decided to sell out to stop the run. Well, he did. Only 23 yards rushing for Alabama, and he dared Jalen Milroe to beat him, and Jalen Milroe beat him. 321 in passing yardage, 3 touchdowns. Jermaine Burton, big breakout game for Bama, 9 catches for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Bama gets the win. No back-to-back at College Station for A&M. Now, A&M at Tennessee in a real put-up game, and Bama hosting Arkansas, and Arkansas just badly trying to get off the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, good for Jalen Milroe. I mean, you could tell early that Texas A&M was daring him to throw the ball on their defense, and he did. I mean, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have 1 interception. He found Jermaine Burton early and often, and so I was really impressed with Alabama's offense. And if they can get that consistently, if they can get Jalen Milroe throwing the ball around like he did in that game on Saturday, that's going to be huge for Alabama. I'm right there with you. I think the thought of Alabama being dead, this Nick Saban dynasty being over, is fun to think about for a lot of people around the country, but it's really hard to count out Alabama and what Nick Saban can do as a coach. So I thought a very good win for Alabama. I thought both offensively and defensively they looked really, really good, and just a really fun game to watch.
Bama's offensive line, though, they just don't splatter people like we got accustomed to, and this team doesn't. 38-14 for Florida over Vandy, 2 touchdowns for Graham Mertz, 495 yards total offense. And after that UK disaster, Vandy was the perfect tonic. Only 135 yards rushing for Florida running back Montrell Johnson. This week, Florida at South Carolina and Vandy hosting Georgia. And I know it makes them mad, but it's true. That stadium will be mostly red and black Saturday in Nashville. It'll be a lot of Georgia fans. It'll be Georgia fans that can't get tickets to the games in Athens. It will be in Nashville this week.
Absolutely. And so I thought this was a big game for Florida because coming off of last week's game against Kentucky, it was really kind of how do you want your season to go after that loss at Kentucky? A very physical game. I heard them talking on the Vanderbilt pregame show on Saturday. I think 4 or 5 starters for Florida out in Saturday's game. I think a couple of guys that were going to dress and maybe play, but that were banged up. So a very physical game that they had just gotten done with against Kentucky. And so to go back home to play Vanderbilt, maybe shorthanded a little bit, really answered the test. Graham Mertz, I thought, was really good. A Graham Mertz that really haven't known what to expect from him. Montrell Johnson got it going on the ground, and Vanderbilt, I had high hopes for them. Ken Seals now starting for them with A.J. Swan injured, but they really just can't get anything going in conference play.
With the Seals start now, 17 different quarterbacks to start a game this year of SEC teams. You know, you start with 14, and you've had Alabama have another starter. Yep. You've had Mizzou with another starter, and you've had
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Texas A&M. It was Georgia 51-13 over Kentucky. Everyone sober up over Kentucky. Never again. 33 Georgia first downs to 12 for Big Blue. 608 yards total offense for the Dogs. 389 for Carson Beck. He was great. 4 touchdowns there, and it was really hammer versus the nail. You were scared it might happen to Kentucky, and it did. Devin Leary was pretty blah all day. And just like Alabama, people wanting to write off Georgia. Georgia hadn't been scratched up yet. At least Bama has. This week, Kentucky, they host Mizzou, and Georgia, as we just said, in Nashville against Vandy.
So I picked Kentucky when we made our picks on Friday, not to win the game, but just to cover the spread, and it had nothing to do with Kentucky and how they had been playing football. It had everything to do with Georgia and what they had done against the spread. I need to see them show me something, and they showed me on Saturday with this win against Kentucky. But I think going into this game, this was the perfect spot for Georgia because you have a lot of people coming and really excited about this Kentucky team. A Kentucky team that ran for over 300 yards, had one guy run for 280 yards the week before against Florida. And when you think about Florida, you think a hard-nosed, smash-mouth team, which really they are not this year. So I thought it was a very good opportunity for Georgia, and they really took advantage of it. Like you said, over 600 yards of total offense. Held Kentucky, like I said, a team that did not finish with 300 yards of offense last week, ran for over 300 yards of offense last week. They held them to 183 yards of total offense, only 55 yards on the ground. So this was huge for Georgia. Like you said, a lot of people have been counting them out, but this is really what I need to see from this Georgia team. A fast start, get all over the opponent, and not take that foot off the gas. So I was super impressed with Georgia over the weekend.
I don't feel like Georgia will be pushed again until potentially Ole Miss visiting in November and then the road trip to Knoxville. Final game of the SEC weekend was Ole Miss and Arkansas in Oxford. Ole Miss won 27-20, and all week last week I warned against people that thought this was going to be a blowout. Yeah. The line opened at 11, then went to 12 on Saturday before kickoff, even moved to 13. Friends of mine, text me, what's going on with this? And I held fast all week that I thought it would be close. I know this series, and I know that Arkansas does not have any fear factor of playing Ole Miss anywhere, and not in Oxford. I thought they would be desperate, and they were. I said Friday when we did picks 38-28, okay, 27-20, close enough.
Pretty close.
8-8 the last 16 years in this one. Big numbers, 0 turnovers for Ole Miss in this game. 10 points and another fourth quarter comeback. Lane Kiffin now 28-14 in 42 games at Ole Miss, and Sam Pittman is now 21-21 in 42 games at Arkansas. Brett Bielema was exactly 21-21 after 42 games at Arkansas.
Wow, that's impressive. But no, this game I thought a great win by Ole Miss. Like you just said, you've been saying it all week. I heard you also mention it on the pregame show on Saturday about, hey, I know this is a big spread right now. I know a lot of people think Ole Miss is going to take care of business, but this game's going to be close. It is always a close game, and so you were all over that last week, and it really was. I thought huge for Ole Miss.
Spoiler alert. It'll be close next year in Fayetteville.
And the year after, and the year after, and the year after. But I thought it was huge for Ole Miss's defense to limit Arkansas on the ground. Only 36 yards of rushing for Rocket Sanders. And, it's bad. And we talked to Ty last week about all the changes they were going to have on their offensive line.
And they changed again in game.
They did. It was weird. It was a weird day of offensive line for Arkansas. And so, I mean, you're seeing that's still an issue. You're seeing penalties still an issue for this Arkansas team. 10 penalties for 70 yards. And I mean, in a 7-point game.
12 men on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was everything.
Late hits.
The entire penalty book is everything that was happening. And in a 7-point game, 10 penalties really swings the game. And so I thought that was the biggest. I thought if I had to list maybe the 3 things that really Arkansas shooting themselves in the foot, penalties, that offensive line play, and then not being able to get the run game going. And that's not really shooting yourself in the foot. That was really a testament to Ole Miss's defense. But I thought a really good game by Ole Miss to get that win. And everybody knew going into that game on both these teams that it was going to be close. I don't think anybody, while the betting market might have sold out on Arkansas, I don't think anybody in either one of those locker rooms thought this game was going to be a blowout. So a very fun game, but a very good win for Ole Miss.
I just don't think Arkansas is that far away. I mean, I know 2-4 is 2-4. That's your record. But I know with a little bit here and a little bit there, and none of it being unrealistic, that it could easily flip to 4-2 and maybe even 5-1. But it hadn't. Arkansas's got a kicker, Cam Little, with the 56-yarder. Really no relation to the great kicker Steve Little, but it was the longest Arkansas field goal since late in the 77 season when Steve Little kicked a 57-yarder. And in that 77 season, he also had a 67-yarder against Texas. That's a look back at the weekend in the SEC. It's brought to you every Monday by Sissy's Log Cabin. They are the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies and proud supporter of the hometown team, the Tigers Athletics, and also sponsor of Right Now, our look back at the weekend in the SEC every Monday at 4:30. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and extraordinary experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Brett, if I can say one more thing about Arkansas, when you talk about those losses this year, you go back and look at these 4 losses. BYU, 7-point loss. LSU, 3-point loss.
With 14 penalties.
With 14 penalties. Ole Miss, 7-point loss. Texas A&M is really the only loss that they have that hasn't been a one-score ball game. And when you go back and look at those penalties in all of those games, that's been a big factor of it. So when you say they're not that far off,
A&M
you're
was just
right.
12.
It was just
it was just. I mean, it wasn't like they didn't belong on the field.
Brett, it felt a lot closer than 12 points when you were watching
that
game. So I think you're absolutely right.
Razorback fans, I know, are really despairing, and look, you got to go to Bama this week. I'm not going to try to sell you something there. And as a Arkansas official told me, not for the team, it's all charter, but for the support staff, the travel people, the equipment people, think about what they're going to complete this week. They went Fayetteville to Baton Rouge back to Fayetteville to Arlington back to Fayetteville to Oxford, back to Fayetteville from Oxford, this week to Tuscaloosa, and then back home Saturday. That is hard.
No kidding. I mean, that is – you look at their schedule and you think, oh, there's a home game there against Texas A&M, but then you got to remember that game was played in Arlington. So, yeah,
they're so ready to get out of that game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good Lord, I can't even imagine. That sounds brutal. But that is our look back at the SEC, or at the weekend in the SEC, brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Oh, come on, it's funny.
Can't do it.
Trick or treat, here's some meat.
Seriously, the Central Barbecue spot for October has been about Halloween for like 5 straight years.
Look, you've done the ladling Central Barbecue beans into their bag thing.
Yeah, I got in trouble both times. They didn't like the phrase ladling beans into their bag.
Well, what else happens in October? Hey, I tell you what, do they do any pumpkin spice stuff?
God, no.
That's good. I'm tapped for anything else for October. How about just a straight spot about how great the food is at Central Barbecue?
What, like Central Barbecue has the best slow-smoked ribs in Memphis?
Yeah, something like that.
Too boring.
It doesn't matter, we're out of time anyway.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/primetime and use code PRIMETIME. That's code PRIMETIME at prizepicks.com/primetime for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Ready to unlock your home's potential? A huge sale has up to 50% off retail at Everything's Yours Appliances with 2 convenient locations in Mississippi, 7095 Hacks Cross Road, Olive Branch, and 8478 Highway 178 West in Vidalia. Invest in new appliances knowing you got a great deal. Everything's Yours Appliances has no credit financing available with low down payment and delivery. Everything's Yours Appliances has all major appliances and name brands. Hurry to Everything's Yours Appliances, where customers are #1.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So my big number, I'm actually very excited about my big number, except I think, when you're talking about numbers and asterisks next to numbers and everything, I think there's a major one by this big number, because with context, it's not as interesting as it is without context. So I'm just going to present it, Brett, with zero context, and then you can do whatever you want with this information. Jim Harbaugh, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, he's been doing a great job. He's back on the sidelines, a big win. Brett, I don't know if you saw him. The defense got an interception or fumble.
He jumped in the pick. Yeah.
He sure did. Jumped into the pick. I loved it. And then so he's back. The team's rolling. So my big number today is 2,787. That is how many rushing yards Jim Harbaugh had in his professional career. That is more rushing yards than Bo Jackson had in his professional career. 2,787 rushing yards for Jim Harbaugh. 2,782 for Bo Jackson.
That's just wrong.
How about that for a big... Now, when you have context in it, you can see that Jim Harbaugh played forever, and Bo Jackson only played for 4 seasons. So
Harbaugh 14 years?
Let's see. Yeah. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 years.
Bo 3?
No, you're right. 14. 7. My math is way off. 14 for Jim Harbaugh. 4 for Bo Jackson. So,
oh man, and that injury.
When there's context in there, it is much more understandable why Jim Harbaugh. But when you just say it on surface, head coach for the Michigan Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh, has more professional career rushing yards than Bo Jackson. It is an incredible big number.
And the play that he was hurt on, I mean, a half step, he houses it for 80, instead gets his hip shredded.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was.
And it's why every cent they can get, they should get, because it's so fragile. It can end in a blink of an eye, and you just have no promise of the next game. My big number, 14. 14 undefeated FBS college football teams remain out of 133. 3 from the ACC, U of L, FSU, and North Carolina. That's 2 old Metro teams.
How about that?
U of L and Florida State. 1 from the Big 12. Yes, 1 from the Big 12. That's Oklahoma. 3 from the Big 10, Michigan, Penn State, and The Ohio State University. 1 from CUSA. That's Liberty.
Yeah.
1 from the Mountain West, Air Force. Maybe the best non-Power 5 team out there. Pac-12, they still have 3. Southern Cal, very, very, very tenuously. Oregon and UW. The SEC just with 1. Georgia and the Sun Belt with Jimmy Madison, James Madison, the Dukes.
That's right. Oh, I love James Madison and Liberty, 2 of my favorite teams this season. I haven't been able to check out Air Force this year, so I'm excited next week. That's on my docket of teams to watch.
All right, somewhat of a local tie with both teams. Liberty, where Hugh Freeze coached, and named the former Tiger head coach that came to the University of Memphis from James Madison.
My dad's going to be so disappointed in me. I don't know.
On, Brian.
I don't know.
Rip Shear.
Oh, my mom's going to be disappointed. My mom loves Rip Shear. So both my parents are going to be disappointed in me. If it was anybody other than Rip Shear, it'd just be my father that's disappointed in me. Now, thanks, Brett. Both my parents are going to be disappointed in me.
I'm sorry. And Connor's mad at me over the shot at Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Pepper. So, I mean, now the whole and he
he
can't take that out on you, so now he has to take it out on me. So now 3 against 1. Thanks, Brett.
Hey, a bunch of Clayton Kershaw numbers here. He's 13-13 in the postseason. 4.49 postseason ERA. He's appeared in 39 postseason games, allowing 30 home runs and 51 walks. Now, he was just awful the other night. But he used to always want to blame it on the Cardinals stealing signs or some garbage he always had. No, he's just never been very good in the postseason.
No, he hasn't. And there was a quote making its rounds on social media after his exit this weekend, where he was asked about making his 4th consecutive Saturday start, and his answer was, "It really messes up my college football watching." And so everyone was saying, "Well, that's what happened. He had to get out of there fast."
Like him even more.
Yeah, he just had to get out of there fast so he could go watch some college football. So that I guess makes sense. But I'm sure a lot of Dodger fans not happy with that answer from Clayton Kershaw. But that'll do it for our second hour. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some Tiger football with Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/primetime and use code PRIMETIME. That's code PRIMETIME at prizepicks.com/primetime for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Fiveash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Bring smiles to all when shopping online with Dell Technologies Gift Guide. Whether it's for the artist, the entrepreneur, the student, or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Dell.com/gift guide makes gifting easy with a carefully curated selection of our best tech. Shop now to explore our innovative PCs like the XPS 13 laptop, powered by the latest Intel Core processors, plus this season's top accessories. Visit Dell.com/gift guide today to get a jump on your holiday gift list. That's Dell.com/gift guide.
Memphis's oldest restaurant, Colette's, was established in 1923 to give Memphians the best Italian food possible. And I'd say they got it right. They are the creators of the barbecue pizza. It was Elvis's favorite, and I know for a fact that a large will feed one person all weekend. If you need to feed several, though, Colette's caters any event. Choose from homemade lasagna, ravioli, Alfredo, primavera, and so many other delicious items you can't help but enjoy. Impress employees or clients and treat them to Colette's for lunch or dinner. Plan ahead and get your holiday party booked at Colette's. Elvis's favorite place to go eat with his buddies at the South Parkway location, and Colette's even has an Elvis room dedicated to him. Call Colette's on South Parkway at 948-7652 or Appling Road at 383-1122. Colette's. It was Elvis's favorite, and it should be yours too.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year. I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Vergos' Rendezvous, in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Motorists were dodging some type of debris a few minutes ago on the bridge there on I-40 going westbound as you head back over towards West Memphis. Still not too bad right now. A little bit of volume from time to time on 240 getting on to 385. Again, volume is way down because a lot of folks were off today. But be careful in that construction zone on 55 north and southbound between Macklemore and South Parkway. Hey, enjoy Smoky Mountain Fall Festival. It's going on now through the end of the month. You can find out more details by logging on to obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us now to talk Tiger football and the big game this weekend against Tulane. Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal, the Tigers football beat reporter, joins us now. Jonah, thanks so much for joining us. And I had your Twitter page pulled up earlier, and I saw your tweet about the email you got earlier. This is what your tweet said. Just received an email with the subject tidal wave warning. Was extremely confused until I opened it, and it says the green wave rolls over all. And you said we really need a name for the Memphis-Tulane rivalry. Have you had any ideas or anybody thrown you any ideas of what we should call this rivalry?
I haven't yet. So if anyone out there is listening, we're still accepting suggestions.
Yeah, we gotta get one.
You know, we need one. Yeah, right. I mean, like I said there, very confused when you get an email like that. Didn't know there were tidal waves on the river, but yeah, and it's funny. I'm like, I don't think I'm the person that needs that email. It's not like I'm affiliated with the University of Memphis, right? So it just made me realize it's a big game.
And it will be a big game Friday night, Friday the 13th, for the Tulane Greenies coming to town to play Memphis. And this league goes through Tulane right now, proud champions of the Cotton Bowl, Jonah. So this is a good one to judge your program up against.
Yeah, this is the one that we've talked about all season, right? This is the one that's been circled. It's the biggest game of the season for Memphis. Tulane obviously is coming off what was an incredible season last year, and Memphis wants all the things that Tulane had last year. And Tulane is, they're the number one team. They were picked to win the conference again. Memphis gets to play them at home, which has been that rivalry. If it's a rivalry, historically has been really good for the home team. So Memphis has the advantage there, and there's a lot of reasons to be excited. But there's no question. If you want to announce yourself as the contender at the top of the conference, you got to beat Tulane, and Memphis has that opportunity on Friday.
So obviously an off week for the Tigers last week after beating Boise State. But before that win against Boise State, 17-0 hole they dug themselves in. Since the end of that game and up until the start of this week, how much has Ryan Silverfield or these players kind of talked about that slow start and really needing to get off to a better start this weekend against Tulane?
Yeah, that's one of the things I asked Ryan Silverfield about in his press conference this morning. And part of it, like he talked about, was, Boise State had their first punt of the game, and the ball ended up inside the 6-inch line. Yeah. So Memphis was automatically backed up right away. But obviously that doesn't explain the whole slow start, because it went on for a while until Rock Taylor had that big catch in the second quarter that kind of opened things up for Memphis. Mm-hmm. And that's something, if you look at the games even before, the games that Memphis won, there were some problems with slow starts. The Arkansas State game was a blowout, but it didn't get started right away. Right. So it took some time to get going. And the bottom line, like Ryan Silverfield said this morning, is that can't happen against Tulane, right? You got to play a complete 4-quarter game. It has to start from the beginning, and you have to be locked in if you're going to, you're going to go beat this team that is coming in here favored to win.
Jonah, for what it's worth, this year I've seen Tulane in person with Ole Miss, and Of course, with that, I've seen Alabama, and I've seen Arkansas, and I've seen Georgia Tech, and I've seen LSU. I think other than Alabama, the second best offensive line moving Ole Miss around has been Tulane.
Yeah, and that game that you saw them against Ole Miss was when Michael Pratt was out, right? So
That's true. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So and they were still competitive in that game right until the end. So that's obviously very impressive because we know how important Michael Pratt is to their team and where he stands, both in this conference and, in the whole country as a quarterback. Ron Zofield saying today he thinks we could say he's a top 5 quarterback in the country, right? So we know how good he is. Tulane is a team, like they're a complete team. Like you said, the offensive line is up there with anyone, especially in this conference. And Memphis has its work cut out, right? There's going to be a lot of interesting battles. There's going to be a lot of things that have to go Memphis's way. And winning the battle in the trenches is where everything starts.
If you put Tulane in Arkansas or LSU and Georgia Tech uniforms, except for Alabama, if you put them in all those other uniforms, they look the part. They have the players. Now, I don't think they are very, very deep, but I don't think a lot of people are very deep anymore because, Jonah, I think people that can play aren't sitting around at a place to be a backup this year and then play next year and then the following year. They're going somewhere now and with NIL and the portal to play right now.
Yeah, and they're a really interesting team. Like, we obviously know about the turnaround from 2 years ago to last year, historic turnaround, right? They won 2 games in 2021, and then last year they won 12 games. They beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. So it's an incredible turnaround, and obviously for them this season it's about maintaining that level. They lost Tajay Spears, who's their star running back, but as we talked about, Michael Pratt is back. He's maybe the best player in the conference, and they're set up really well. And we saw they can compete with teams at any level, right? They went and beat USC. That game against Ole Miss, without their starting quarterback, they were in it until the end. So we know the caliber of team that they are, and that's kind of why people are excited about this game, because this is the chance for Memphis to prove itself at the highest level you can in this conference. And they get to do it at home. They get to do it on a Friday night on ESPN. And it's really everything you can ask for in terms of an opportunity to kind of announce yourself on this kind of a stage.
Obviously, a lot of people thinking this is going to be a close game this weekend. I know the line opened at, I think, 3 for Tulane. I don't know what it's sitting at right now, but with it being kind of built up as such a close game, obviously kicking could become a factor in this game. I thought Tanner Gillis has done a good job in place of the 2 kickers in front of him. Have we gotten an update on those 2 guys in front of him?
Yeah, I asked about it this morning, and the update was both guys, Seth Morgan and Tristan Vandenberg, are day-to-day, which is the update that we got before the last game.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what we can read into that. But it's a weird situation because obviously, we found out that Morgan and Vandenberg were out right before the Missouri game. They missed that game, and we didn't know who was going to kick. And Tanner Gillis came in and played as well as anybody could have, right? He made a 43-yard field goal and also handled kickoffs. And then he kicked again against Boise State. So they at least know it's not going to be one of those situations where you have to go for it on 4th down every time. You have to go for 2, that kind of a situation. But we still don't know for really the second straight week going into this whole week. We don't know who's going to kick, who's going to do kickoffs. And it'll just depend on how quickly those guys are able to get back.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Dillon with us from the Commercial Appeal. He's on the beat covering the Memphis Tigers on Friday night, the biggest game of the year, the biggest game in a long time, arguably the biggest game of the Ryan Silverfield era. Ryan Silverfield looking for that first really gigantic win, win that might get the ceremonial Gatorade over him or old school carried off on the shoulders. We don't do that anymore, but I think it would merit it if he won Friday night. Before the break, Jonah, a loss at Mizzou, a win over Boise State. I think I learned more about Seth Hennigan in the loss at Mizzou and the win over Boise State than I had in 2.5 years.
Yeah. Well, as you know, it's my first year on the beat, so I don't know how much I learned about him in the first 2 years. But,
everything's new to you, huh? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, everything's new to me. Even I was about to ask you guys about what you just said about this being the biggest game of Brian Thorfield's tenure. But on Seth, I think it's been up and down, which is kind of what it's been his whole career, and that's not even to say that as a negative thing. The interceptions have been up a little bit this season, but it's when he turns it on, like he did against Boise State, then you see how good this offense can be. And especially when Blake Watson, the way he's been playing at running back, they have a lot of weapons. Rock Taylor's been kind of emerged as the clear number one receiver now. That was a question mark coming into the season. And I think with the 2 weeks, to prepare for Tulane, I think Seth is prepared for a really good game. I think also all this stuff that he's hearing about Michael Pratt that I've just talked about, that's a big narrative this week. This guy's coming in here. He's the best quarterback in the conference. I think anyone in that position, if you're the quarterback that this guy's coming to play against, you want to prove yourself, right? And I think that's exactly where we are this week. And, it's been one of those seasons where he's made some great plays and he's made some not so great plays. And like everything we talked about, this game is huge. You have to execute throughout the game. You have to play a really clean game, and Seth is going to have to play probably his best game of the season if they want to win.
Jonah, what's your interaction and maybe a consensus that you're getting from around town, from people that know the program a lot better than I do? Bryant knows the program a lot better than I do, but from my view, I think it's the biggest. But what's the feeling you're getting from around town about, is this the biggest game in a long time and of the Ryan Silverfield years?
I think people are. I mean, I think you look at a couple of games against SEC teams, right, and people always keep those in high esteem just because of the level of competition. But in terms of like a conference game where you can really prove yourself, I think this is up there. And that's what I've heard from a lot of people, right? Because and this is the opportunity where you get to play this game at home. It comes on a Friday night. It's going to be the game that everybody's talking about or watching on Friday night. And it's your opportunity with the way the schedule looks the rest of the season. If Memphis wins this game, you suddenly look at the schedule and you say, Memphis is going to be favored in all of the rest of the games. Maybe SMU, we'll see how they're doing at the end of the season, but that game is also in Memphis. So the schedule sets up really, really nicely. If you're Memphis and you're looking at a 2-0 conference record with a win over Tulane, really you would expect Memphis at that point to be in the AAC championship game. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And that's why where this game comes in the season is so important. And
if you win, you
those are the
host.
stakes. Yeah, probably, right? Unless something goes wrong, you would think the teams that you're going to be looking up at the rest of the season, you're going to look at SMU, which has a really easy schedule, but has to come play here. Tulane, obviously, you would have a win over them, so you would expect to be ahead of them, and then UTSA, which has a more difficult schedule. So I think it really, because of the placement of the game, because of where it is, because of where we are in the season, it's just so important for this team the rest of the season, the interest in the program from fans, all that stuff, especially with 2 road games coming up after this. It feels as important. Certainly this season, it's the most important game.
Yeah. Jonah, another thing I'm curious what you've heard from fans and also what you think. I've heard a lot of people, both fans and people in the media, complaining at times of the play calling for this offense. What have you thought of the play calling, and is that something that's been pointed out to you by fans of them complaining about the play calling at times?
Yeah, definitely heard that from fans. I would say complaints are about play calling and about arguments about attendance at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium are the top 2 things that I hear the most. So I'll definitely hear that. I think the thing that fans have been frustrated by is the inconsistency, especially like within the game. Like we talked about, it seems like things aren't going well at the beginning of the game, and then suddenly it unlocks. And fans are saying, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place? Right? And to some extent, it makes sense. Like slow starts, not every team deals with a slow start. Like there is a solution for that, and they have to figure out a way to find it. I mean, that's just the reality. So I think when you have a 3-and-out or something, then the fans are immediately going to say, okay, well, why didn't you run this play? Or why did you run the ball in second down? Whatever. So I think that there is some validity there. At the same time, if you win the game, you win the game, and then the fans, should be happy because they won the game. So I think it's a complicated one, but I definitely do understand it, and I think that's another thing. We talked about this guy has to execute, this guy has to have a good game. Tim Cramsey has to have a good game on Friday calling the game. I mean, that's just the reality. Like he has to have as good of a game as anybody else, and if he does, then Tigers are in a position to win.
And this opponent, this coach, Willie Fritz, just a really sound, fundamental coach. The day I saw him, they had 2 penalties. They were late in the game. It was a total of 10 yards. It was as innocuous of 2 penalties as you'll ever have. Very few turnovers. They tackle so soundly. Their route running is almost perfect. It is a sound, well-coached, the master of the little things that make one big thing. This is a good matchup for Ryan Silverfield against a coach that put in his time, and the Tulane administration stayed patient.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, right? Because we know about that turnaround. There we go. I mean, I've spent I heard a lot of great things about Tulane earlier today at the press conference, and now I'm hearing all these things from you. So I'm convinced. I'm convinced now that the green wave. But yeah, I mean,
they're for keeps. I think this is the best team the Tigers have faced this year, and that includes Mizzou.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's hard. Whenever you have a team in the group of 5 and people are saying this team is really good, everyone nationally is kind of like, let's see how they play. Well, we saw Tulane play against USC, and we saw what happened. I mean, that's the Heisman Trophy winner right there. They went and beat them in a shootout. So I don't think you can.
Joe, we were on the air live, right? We were on the air live that Monday afternoon, January 2nd, during the closing portion of that game, and both of us pulling very hard for Tulane. We threw all down the middle out that day. And I said that day, in the history of college football, in big upsets, now maybe App State when they were still a FCS team, but FBS versus FBS in a bowl game, biggest budget disparity ever was Tulane over USC.
Wow, I didn't know that. I always think about, we just had Boise State in town. We always think about Boise State, Oklahoma as that kind of historic.
That was close.
Yeah, I assume that it was something like that. But yeah, it's amazing what they've done.
Tulane,
they had 2 wins.
Tulane was about to get rid of football not that long ago.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's a million different stats. I still think the 2 wins to the 12 wins is the biggest turnaround in college football history.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's amazing because we always talk about, and there's validity, right? To coaches need time, like Mike Norvell at Florida State. People were ready to run him out of town a couple years ago, and now look what he's doing.
Yeah.
So you say, okay, coaches need time to do this and that, and then you look at Tulane, and obviously that wasn't an overnight thing in terms of Willie Fritz, but he just said, we won 2 games the next year, and then we're going to win 10 more the next year. I don't think anybody in New Orleans would have believed that before last season. And now we see that it wasn't really a flash in the pan. We're expecting them to have a good season. So it's really amazing what they've done, and there's still a lot of room for growth if they can continue. I mean, all the things that we've talked about with Memphis in this conference, being able to compete consistently with what it looks like now and the teams that have left. Tulane has all those things too, right? Why can't they be at the top of the conference every year?
And Ryan Silverfield last week stepped up and bought some tickets. Did he comment about that today in his availability?
Yeah, he talked about a little bit. 2,500 tickets. I believe that they were claimed within a couple hours of that announcement.
Good.
So that's another thing. I mean, I mentioned it before. Attendance is a big thing in this city. People like to talk about it. They like to talk about, why aren't there more fans? Why are people not sitting on this side of the stadium? All sorts of things. And sometimes it goes way too into the weeds. But this is, this game should have a higher attendance than any other game this season. Mm-hmm. Now, how high can that number go is a great question, because we know how high the number can go when they play an SEC team. But that's sometimes just because they're playing an SEC team. So how much are people in this city going to buy in to how important this game is, and what it means for the rest of the season, what it means for the program, what it means for Ryan Silverfield? We'll see a lot of that in how many people show up to the game on Friday.
Yeah,
I hate using this word. I really do, Jonah. So I'm always reluctant to. But I think this football program and this head coach, they deserve support Friday night. Give them a chance. And then if you go and you're nonplussed by the product, okay, I don't want to tell you how to spend your money after that if you didn't like the product. But I think they deserve this shot Friday night.
Yeah, well, the thing about the way that the schedule lines up is, like, after this, there's 2 more home games, USF and SMU. SMU at the end of the season, they'll probably have a pretty good record, so maybe that'll be a a big game, but this is the game to go to, right? Like if you're a casual fan, I would think you're going to go to one game this season. This is probably the one you want to pick. I mean, it's the biggest game, right? Why wouldn't you want to go to this one? So I think, with all that said, how many people are going to show up? It's hard to say. There were about 30,000 people there for the Boise State game. Memphis has a win since then, and they've built the momentum. You got those 2,500 people, right? You got those free tickets. They should be there. They should be excited. You still got some of those people. Remember that ticket promotion where you keep getting tickets if the Tigers keep winning? Those people are still going, right? Because they haven't lost at home yet. So it'll be interesting. But there's every reason why people should. If you're going to decide there's one game to go this season, this is probably the one you're going to pick.
And Jonah, I swear, having been here all my life, I swear, I think our attachment, our almost fixation, our paranoia about ticket sales, how many were there? Was it scanned? Was it real? Was it butts in the seats? Was it just tickets sold? I swear, I think it all goes back that we have almost a survivor battered syndrome mentality about all those years, Jonah. We were chasing that fool's gold of an NFL team, and we'd have those goofy preseason games, and we all bought into, we got to buy tickets to get a team. If we don't, they're going to think less of us. I swear, I think it's a 70s mentality of trying to get an NFL team here. I can't prove it, but that's my opinion.
Hey, fair enough. Obviously, that's all before my time. But like I said, I've noticed, even the time I've been here, I've noticed that this is something more so than other places I've lived. Like, people are talking about this a lot. It's every sport.
Yeah.
It's a youth soccer league. How many people were there?
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. It keeps me on my toes during the game because I know we're sitting there at the third quarter, and whenever that attendance number comes out, people are going to start. That's what we need to talk about. There's a game going on, but there's also an attendance number out, and that's sometimes it feels like that's more important. So it's definitely interesting.
I'm telling you, it's battered spouse syndrome that we had from the NFL, and how the NFL and a lot of real charlatans played us through the years. The Irsays, the Adams, the league itself, the late great Pete Rozelle did. I mean, they just toyed with us.
Well, it also goes back to the stadium renovations, right? I mean,
yes,
that's still a story that hasn't gone away. That's going to continue to ramp up. That money has not been allocated, and how would that affect attendance, right? If the stadium was much nicer, where more people show up, it's possible, right? They're going to try to move the camera. That's the other thing. The camera shoots the direction where there aren't a lot of people, but they're going to try to shoot from the other side, which they did during the USFL season. Because that's the other thing is people watch on TV and they say, oh, there's no one at the game, which is kind of not the full story because there's more people on the side where the camera's coming from and where the press box is. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Sure.
And there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of history there there's reasons why it's such a big deal. But yeah, it continues. And this week is going to be the kind of the inflection point for that too.
Yeah, well, it should be a great game Friday night. Jonah, thanks so much for joining us. Let's do this again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jonah. Jonah Dillon, the beat writer for the Tiger football team for the Commercial Appeal, joining us to talk about the big game Friday night. Before we get to a break, let me tell you about our sponsor for this hour. They're with us every single afternoon. That's Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team and any season. Western wear, work boots, safety toe, or soft toe, and even rubber boots. Boots for every single occasion at Hewlett & Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean, whether for men or women, they have you covered. And it's not just the boots. They've got men's and women's men's clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, and outerwear, and the best duck head collection that you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapback and cool hats you can think of. That's all at Hewlett and Dunn. Whether it be the Tigers, Mississippi State, UT, Ole Miss, or the Razorbacks, they've got it at Hewlett and Dunn. And for travel, the bag selection is top notch. HewlettDunn.com, but please get out to Collierville, visit and say hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Let's go ahead and get to a break, because when we come back, we've got to get to our Roost Chris Monday Night Football preview and pick. We've also got to get to our top 4 list for tonight's game between for quarterbacks between the Packers and the Raiders. That's next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible. What's the Genesis secret? Our owner was born and raised in the diamond industry in Tel Aviv. After selling wholesale to high-end jewelry retailers for years, he hated the insane markups they were getting away with. So he stopped selling to the stores and started selling direct to the public. That philosophy is still a core part of Genesis DNA as we continue to sell the highest quality diamonds at true no middleman direct importer prices. With international connections and massive buying power, Genesis has what it takes to beat anyone else's price every day on every diamond. Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how people in Memphis buy diamonds and fine jewelry. Now open at Poplar & Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show, right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We see a pretty good delay south of Memphis down into DeSoto County on 55, both north and southbound around Star Landing. Give yourself a little bit of extra time in that section of DeSoto County. Possible accident down there. It just looks that way from the way it's backing up. It's a little bit busy, but it's not the worst we've ever seen it on 240 getting on to 385. Bill Morris Parkway going outbound towards Collierville. Smoky Mountain Fall Festival is underway right now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check out all the fun details by logging on to obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard. ABC's Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football, here we go from Sin City in Vegas. It's the Packers visiting Las Vegas to play the Raiders. They don't play very much. The first time they ever met was in Super Bowl II, held in Miami. And Super Bowl II and Super Bowl III both were in Miami. The only time the Super Bowl's been in the same city in back-to-back years. That will never happen again. Yeah, I can guarantee it. They won't do that. I don't know how a city could really host it, but Miami did it for 2 and 3, and it was Vince Lombardi's last game as the coach of the Packers. Tonight, the Raiders are a 2.5-point favorite over Green Bay. Over the weekend, I went 4 and 2 in NFL. Bryant, you went 3 and 3. In college football, you went 1 and 6.
I don't want to talk about
it. And I went 6 and 1. So I made a little. I made up some ground over the weekend. Call it NFL lock. You hit with Philly. NFL shock. You missed barely with Houston. How about that?
Jeez.
You get a 1.5 and they lose by 2. That's a sad story.
It happens. It happens.
It really does. I had Detroit as my lock, and they got there easily. And I had Rams as my shock, and they really weren't that close against Philadelphia. But tonight in Vegas, it is the Raiders hosting the Packers. Two old guard teams. Your pick?
I'm going to go with the Packers. I have no rhyme or reason for picking the Packers. I'm just going to go with them.
I'm going to go with the Packers as well. That'll be group lock for the NFL, and we hit the only one of the weekends. We both had Jacksonville bright and early in London. On the year in NFL group locks, we're doing pretty well, and it fails me. We were 8 and 12 going in to this weekend, and we're already 1-0, so 9-12.
like it.
That's better than we've been in the past on Group Lock. So we both have the Packers night. I have the Packers winning 21-14 tonight in that game. We're going to do all-time quarterbacks, and we're going to combine them. We're going to do the big four all-time between Raiders, wherever they've been, Oakland, Los Angeles, Oakland, or in Vegas, against the Packers. And you can start.
I will start. I'm going to start with number 4, Arnie Herber from the way back in the day for the Packers.
Great Caesars goes.
I mean, what a guy. Let's see.
That was the Bumblebee. That's the Steelers, but that was the crazy uniform from the day.
That's right. I pulled up his stats.
Great Scott, Ernie Harber.
Just to make sure.
Harber or Herber? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
Not only did he play quarterback, he was also the tailback and defensive back for the team. So a multiple position player, Arnie was. His highest throwing yards per in a season was 1,239 yards, had 11 throwing touchdowns that year. Arnie cracks my list at number 4. Number 3, Bart Starr. How could you not have a list including the Packers without having Bart Starr on it? Too low, maybe.
Too low for you.
Number 2, Brett Favre. Again, how do you have a Packers list without having the old gunslinger on it?
Now, hold it. You were supposed to combine them. You were supposed to do Raiders and Packers tonight, in all in one.
Oh, Brett, I know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Number 2, Brett Favre. One of my favorite players of all time.
Okay.
I love watching Brett Favre. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers.
You have 0 Raiders?
I have 0 Raiders, Brett.
No Rich Gannon?
No.
No Daryl LaMonica?
No.
No George Blanda?
No.
No the brothers. One of the brothers' car?
Negative. I do not.
No Snake Stabler?
No Snake.
No Mark Wilson? No Jay Schrader?
Do it in Lambeau, you know?
0 Raiders.
0 Raiders. Do it in Lambeau, and then I'll put you on the list.
Number 4 for me, and he could have done it anywhere. Kenny the Snake Stabler. Number 4. Number 3, Brett Favre. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. And number 1, and I'm serious, Bart Starr. 5 championships, 3 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowls 1 and 2, MVP of both of them. And in my very fortunate life, I promise you, it would be in a top 5, no doubt top 10 of, man, that's Bart Starr, and get to meet him.
Really?
That's Bart Starr.
Wow.
It was that big because, you know, when Super Bowl 1 was when I was about 5 or 6, and, you know, the Packers were in that dynasty run, and our Little League football team, we had jerseys, green jerseys, identical to the Green Bay Packers.
Really? Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And just the number on the side of the helmet.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love a helmet with just the number on the side of it. It's
That
iconic.
my mother and our best family friend, Miss Frances Plunkett, that they painted the numbers. There were 40 football helmets in our house, and they painted the numbers on the sides of the helmet.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Now,
There were just helmets everywhere.
That's awesome.
Kind of like my house is now with all the darn helmets.
I love it. But, you know, for me, my heart in terms of quarterbacks is pretty much split between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
And Arnie Harper.
And Arnie Harper, yes. I'm telling you, I mean, you got to be tough as nails to be a good quarterback up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, playing at Lambeau Field. So,
Stabler could have played in Green Bay.
Yeah.
He was tough enough.
You know,
if nothing else, he'd have got drunk and toughed it out.
Oh, I love that, Brett. You're making a case for him to be on my list. I might have to change my list around and put him up there. You know, Brett, I used to hate Brett Favre when he was playing. I used to dislike him as a player. I thought the retiring and then coming out of retirement every single year
it got real old.
Was a mess. I thought it was, I mean, it made me so mad. But my dad made a good point. He said he's doing it for the old guys like myself coming back and proving that he can still play. At some point, he proved he could not play anymore and had to retire. But
he just never wanted to go to training camp.
No.
Just say that. But
sure.
you know, stop all the are you or are you not. I always liked him dueling it out with the Memphis Tigers when he was at Southern Miss.
Yeah.
And liked him okay, but the night I really fell in love with him on the day he loses his dad, and his dad was a young man. It was one of those suddenly and unexpectedly, and I couldn't function the night my dad died like that suddenly, unexpectedly.
Yeah.
He goes out and plays on Monday Night Football and puts on a show.
That's incredible.
It really was. John Madden just loved him, and I think John Madden would be doing other games and just out of nowhere mention Brett Favre. Brett Favre looks good. You're not calling a Brett Favre game tonight, Madden.
No, that's great. That's awesome.
But he did love him a lot. Tonight's game, I don't think either of these quarterbacks are going to enter into this list someday, but both need a big game tonight.
Yeah, they both need a big game tonight. What have you thought about Jordan Love through the first 4 games?
Good. I don't think it's been his fault.
Right.
The touchdown to interception ratio is in line. The yardage is there. The wheels are there. I don't know that this is a great Packer defense. It might be not so great.
Yeah.
And the same for the Raiders. Now, is Garoppolo starting tonight?
I believe so, but I'm not positive. Let me look that up.
I'm not either on the starter tonight, but I think it will be a lower scoring game because right now the firepower is really not there for these offenses, but the defenses aren't great either. What is the over and under tonight? Oh, wow, it's 45. That's bigger than I thought it was.
Wow, yeah, I might have to take the under in that one.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Johnny's doing some research back here on if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing tonight. Johnny, do we have an answer? Is he playing tonight?
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo will be your starting quarterback tonight.
Jimmy G tonight.
According to Johnny. And if that's wrong, if you sit down, you turn on either the Manning cast or the regular cast, and he's not playing, blame Johnny. Don't blame us.
Come on, we're going to play the Blame Johnny game 2 weeks in on the job here.
Hey,
come on, we can't do him like that.
Learn by
now.
fire, you got to learn at some point. So we're throwing him into the fire early.
That's our look at Monday Night Football and our pick and our Big Four quarterbacks. And it's brought to you every week by Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Whether it's date night, a birthday, after a big win, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in the Regalia Shopping Center. Plenty of safe, free parking. You can hear the sizzles now, and that's how celebrating, enjoying Monday Night Football should be done. Kevin Johnson's the manager, Jared Wells is executive chef, and they want everyone to know right now about holiday party plans. You need to start it now for that perfect event. You got to really plan it right. They'll help you. They'll get it done. For any occasion, treat yourself to one of the classic USDA beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection, then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Patented boiling method. Hear the sizzles and enjoy Monday Night Football on all the TVs. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation and celebrate the right way. Celebrate the Ruth's Chris Memphis way.
Let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The 4-1 Memphis football team is home Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock for a huge conference matchup against Tulane for first place in the conference. It's wrestling night. Enjoy the matches on Tiger Lane and meet and greet with the wrestlers inside the stadium. Tickets start at just $20 to watch this big-time conference matchup. Be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Hey, sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Green Bay, Las Vegas is a monster, side and total. Green Bay, Las Vegas, critical information confirmed, plus Thursday early release. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread. Green Bay, Las Vegas is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 or the season free. 1-800-244-5506. 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. Call 1-800-244-5506 or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Kevin Harlan and Mike Golick will call the action when the Raiders host the Packers. Green Bay's looking to bounce back from last week's loss, while Vegas hopes the return of Jimmy Garoppolo under center will help them break a 3-game losing streak. Join us on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today is that at this time tomorrow, we'll be watching NHL hockey on ESPN. The first game tomorrow afternoon, puck drop at 4:30 in the afternoon featuring the Nashville Predators. So a regional team on ESPN.
Our Predators.
They're second on my list, so maybe.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. I know, especially here in the South, in this area, hockey isn't a big sport. But I'm telling you, if you're just looking for something to watch on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, I'm telling you, flip on hockey. You're going to love it. It's a lot of fun, very easy to pick up, and it all starts tomorrow.
Seriously, tomorrow, I want you to try to find this out for me. What is the mileage distance between Memphis and the closest frozen pond in North America?
I will find that for you. It's going to be tough,
I wonder
but I'll find it.
how north we got to go.
Probably
might have to go south.
Maybe. Maybe.
What I learned Saturday night is just what a good groove Jackson Dart is in. He continued his great play the last 2 weeks, 158 plays, 88 against LSU, 70 against Arkansas, no turnovers, not even a near, what are you thinking, what are you seeing type throw. He hadn't thrown anything up for grabs. He's been solid, and it has been zero room for error. If Ole Miss has a single turnover against LSU and one against Arkansas instead of winning the last 2 weeks, they'd have lost those games.
You're absolutely right, they would have. What I could have done without is this injury to Anthony Richardson, the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. It looks like he could miss 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained AC joint, which might be positive news after kind of some of the reporting and thoughts of people that I heard and saw yesterday after the injury. A lot of people thought that it could have been a broken collarbone because of the way he was kind of walking.
It was an ugly fall.
It was very ugly in the way
we got to get him wearing real shoulder pads, Brian.
Got to. And the way he would, they showed a video of him walking to the locker room, and he just kind of had his shoulder kind of sagging, and his head was kind of over to the side. It really did look like a broken collarbone, which would have been out way longer. So maybe 4 to 6 weeks could be better for him, but this is the now second time he's been with an injury. This is AC joint, a sprained AC joint. The first one was a concussion, so definitely a rough start to the season for Anthony Richardson. It has nothing to do with what's happened on the field. It's just those injuries that are starting to pile up.
I could do without the hot seat talk for Bill Belichick. Look, they're really bad. It's a bad look. But if anyone is insulated to hot seat talk, he's got to be number one. And if he's not, then nobody ever can kind of cover themselves with what they've done in the past. He trails Don Shula by 17, 18 to break, 17 to tie in all-time wins for an NFL coach. I don't think he gets there.
No, I'm probably with you.
It looks like 3 or 4 this year, 9 or 10 next year. Then you're going to need parts of the 25 season.
Yeah, no, you are. You're absolutely right. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beaming to Dodger Stadium for Arizona at the Dodgers in Game 2 of the NLDS. Zach Gallen versus Bobby Miller. Diamondbacks looking to go up an unlikely 2-0 in best of 5. This would be another October bad look for the Dodgers. Yep. They got that bogus COVID bubble title, that Jankio title from 2020. Other than that, nothing since 1988 for championships.
Wow, that actually threw me off of where I was going to beam tonight. But you're right about this game tonight. Really, I don't want to say a pitching mismatch because I do like Bobby Miller, but you've got a guy that has never been in a playoff atmosphere, MLB playoff atmosphere before, going up against Zach Gallen, who's been there, done that, and has been really solid this year. So, I mean, as much as I love Bobby Miller, this could be a great opportunity for the Diamondbacks to really hop on the Dodgers.
We're going to watch the end of this Philly at Atlanta game early. It's Philly up 1-0 over Atlanta. Clayton Kershaw, his ERA was very close to just going into infinity. He did get one out. It stands at 162. 160, not 1.62, 162.00. His ERA from Saturday night. That's really bad. Packers in Vegas only played 14 times. First meeting in Super Bowl II, the end of Vince Lombardi's legendary Packer career.
How about this for a place to beam to tonight? How about beam me to Oklahoma City for the Spurs versus the Thunder in a center matchup. Wimby on one side, Chet Holmgren on the other side. Remember,
Rookie of the Year battle.
That's right. Remember when we were calling all of these big centers, big skinny centers, unicorns? This might be the ultimate battle of the unicorns tonight.
The unicorn
Chet versus
ball.
Wimby. I'm excited about that one. I don't watch a lot of preseason basketball, but I'll be watching that one tonight if I can find it.
You watched
somewhere.
the whole game last night.
I did, and I loved every minute of it. And Brett, I will tell you, the energy in FedEx Forum late in the game when it was getting a little tight, I mean, that was regular season energy.
I'm told it was a great crowd last night, and ticket sales are just phenomenal.
They are, and I'm telling you, I mean, talking about players being in midseason form, the crowd was in midseason form last night when you were late in that fourth quarter and even into overtime. And Jay Morgan pointed out earlier, he was at the game last night, and he was saying you saw guys diving on the floor for balls. I mean, this wasn't your regular preseason game. There were guys laying out, trying to go for steals and stuff. So it was.
What do they think this is, FIBA World Cup?
I mean, well, half those guys just got done playing the FIBA World Cup. So,
That's right.
I mean, they might still be in that mood. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the Monday Night Football tonight that you can catch on this station. Pregame starting at 6:30 with no Rebel Yell tonight. But enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms